How did Satan's literal son, who started out like this, turn into a hero that takes down a huge demon like this? Well, that's just how things go in today's show, Blue Exorcist. You see, in the world of Blue Exorcist, hell and earth both exist. Hell is known as Gehenna, and earth is known as Astir. Demons usually exist in Gehenna, but some of them get through to Astir, and only a few people can actually see them. There are exorcists, knights, monsters, conspiracies, and it all has to do with the two sons of Satan, Rin and Yukio. So let's just get right into it. The first episode starts with some priests in a church praying, when one of them explodes into blue flames. One by one, the priests get taken out, and the head priest blames a demon for it. Spooky. We then cut to our MC, the almost always angry Rin Okumura. He just got into a fight with some delinquents, and he actually won. Unfortunately, he has to explain the injuries he got to his father, a priest named Shiro Fujimoto, at Southern Cross Boys Monastery. After doing a bang-up job of that, Rin gets his injuries treated by his twin brother, the calm and kind Yukio Okumura. Yukio's the exact opposite of Rin, a hard-working student who stays out of trouble. Yukio's gonna be going to a fancy school called the True Cross Academy on a full scholarship, no less. His dream is to be a doctor, and Rin fully supports his brother, but Yukio worries a lot about Rin. He just got fired from his part-time job for beating up those delinquents. Why did he do that? Because they were shooting pigeons. Well, that seems unfair. In any case, Yukio and the other kids at the monastery encourage Rin to apply for a job at a supermarket. On his way to the interview, he sees his dad, Fujimoto, talking to a little girl and her mother. Apparently, the girl is being bullied by fairies. Yeah, right. Anyway, Rin heads over to the supermarket. For some reason, Rin is way stronger than a regular human, which makes his job easy. But he's also clumsier than a normal human, which makes his job hard. Eventually, though, his natural talents as a cook land him the job, and everyone at the church gets ready to celebrate. That's when Rin sees the girl from earlier chasing her scarf. Rin grabs the scarf and tries to give it back to her, but it's snatched away by a demon. Rin chases down the demon while it knocks stuff over at the supermarket. Eventually, it puts the girl in danger, and Rin manages to save her, but she still gets hurt. Later, Yukio and the others realize something is wrong when Rin doesn't show up, so Yukio finds his brother, who explains he got fired for all the damage he caused. That's so unfair! When they get home, they see the little girl and her father there, and they thank Rin. The girl then tries telling her father about the fairies, and her dad obviously doesn't believe her, which makes Rin super mad. So Fujimoto gives the girl a charm that will protect her, and then grounds Rin. Poor dude can't catch a break! After that, Fujimoto opens a secret chest and finds a sword inside, and it's smoking. The next day, Rin wakes up to a goodbye note from Yukio. He's off to True Cross Academy. Rin then starts seeing something strange. A bunch of mini demons flying outside. He then runs into the delinquents from the other day, and their leader, Reiji Shiratori, has a preposition. Since Reiji's going to be going to True Cross as well, he wants to pay Rin off to keep Yukio quiet about his pigeon shooting. That was a bad idea, because Rin immediately punches Reiji. You do not mess with his brother. That's when Reiji transforms into a half-human, half-demon monster. But disturbingly, only Rin can see it. Reiji's friends then hold Rin down, and Reiji prepares to burn his dang eyes out. That's when Rin blows them all away in a blue blast of fire. And it's the same kind that was burning the priests. But unlike the priests, it doesn't hurt Rin. Reiji then gets ready for the fight, only for Fujimoto to show up. He whoops Reiji's ass before exorcising the demon in him. Old man's got some moves. As demons start surrounding them, Fujimoto explains why this is happening.
You are the offspring of Satan.
Boom. Episode 2 sees Fujimoto and Rin running away from demons and ghouls as the priest explains. Turns out, Rin is actually Satan's son, born of Satan and a human. Yukio was the same, but he was too weak to inherit the demon power. Meanwhile, after waking up, Reiji is repossessed by the demon, who calls Rin Prince. Rin and Fujimoto make it back to the church, where everyone works together to hold off the demons. Fujimoto then takes Rin to a secret basement and gives him the Kurikara sword. Apparently, Fujimoto resealed Rin's powers inside the sword. He tells Rin to never unsheath it. He'll permanently turn into a demon if he does. What good is a sword that you can't draw? Fujimoto then gives him a phone, tells Rin to contact a friend of his, and locks him out while he and the others deal with the demon. I have so many questions, and so does poor Rin. Instead of running away, Rin breaks out and helps fight back against Reiji and the demons. After Fujimoto exorcises Reiji for a second time, Rin gets mad at him. Rin thinks Fujimoto wants him gone because he's a demon, and says some really mean stuff to him. So Fujimoto literally slaps some sense into him. Unfortunately, that's the last thing Fujimoto does before he's possessed by Satan himself. Satan mocks Fujimoto before smacking Rin around. He then opens the Gehenna Gate, which leads straight to Gehenna, or Hell. He drags Rin into the gate, but Fujimoto takes over and sacrifices his own life to save his son.
That boy is my son, and I'm taking him back. Curses, what do you think you're doing? Damn you, exorcist!
A valiant effort, but it's too late. They're both getting dragged down into the gate. So, Rin unleashes the Kurikara sword, takes control of his powers, and slices away the Gehenna Gate. Unfortunately though, Fujimoto has already passed away, and that's when Yukio shows up. We then cut to Fujimoto's funeral, where Rin decides to call Fujimoto's friend. Turns out, the friend is here at the funeral. He's a super flamboyant man named Sir Mephistopheles. Get it? Like Mephistopheles? It's a horrendous pun. And he's at the precept of Japan's Knights of the True Cross. They're the Vatican's exorcists, and they're here to kill Rin. After all, he is Satan's son. But Rin rejects his lineage and says he's Fujimoto's son, so he's going to become an exorcist. Mephisto laughs before agreeing to the idea. That's a pretty decent backstory. Let's see where this goes. The next episode starts with Rin and Yukio remembering the good times they had with Fujimoto, and they're both in mourning. Afterwards, Mephisto shows up to take both boys to True Cross Academy. Turns out, Mephisto runs the place, so he got Rin in too. He takes the brothers to the academy, and Rin realizes that Yukio is the freshman representative, which means he's scored the highest in the entrance exam. Rin realizes Yukio is awesome, and decides to not burden him with any of this demon stuff. After spending all day geeking out over how cool the academy is, a dog leads Rin outside, and then the dog transforms into Mephisto. Mephisto explains that along with his normal school studies, Rin is gonna be training to become an exorcist at cram school. Mephisto gives him a key, which will let him access cram school from any door. That's low-key cool as hell. So Rin makes his way to class, which is a dump compared to the True Cross Academy. Mephisto explains that some students here have a temp taint, but not all of them. A temp taint is a wound or a disease given to you by a demon. After receiving it, one is able to perceive demons. Anyway, that's when their teacher walks in, and it's Yukio. What? Rin throws a tantrum, so Yukio asks everyone else to leave. Yukio then explains how he started training to be an exorcist at the age of 7, and it was Fujimoto who suggested it. Why? Because Yukio received his temp taint at birth from Rin. In the argument, Rin accidentally drops rotten animal blood, which lures in a bunch of hobgoblins. And no, this show doesn't explain where any of that came from. Yukio starts shooting them, and Rin asks what Yukio thinks of him, and Yukio tells him,
I mean, you are a demon, aren't you? As far as I was concerned, you were a threat.
Yeesh. According to Yukio, Fujimoto was the strongest exorcist in the world, and the only one with the willpower to not be possessed by Satan. Except he was possessed by Satan, which means something must have broken his iron will, and that something was the mean thing Rin said to him. After taking out the hobgoblins, Yukio points his gun at his brother, but when a huge hobgoblin appears behind Yukio, Rin cuts it down with the kurikara. Rin then explains how he wants to be an exorcist so no one else has to die, and Yukio remembers that he became an exorcist to protect Rin. And even though those two things are not the same, they forgive each other and make up. Classic anime convenience. What's more, they'll even be sharing a room, even though Yukio will be his teacher. Awkward. Episode 4 starts in the past, with a little girl named Shiemi Moriyama. She's in her grandma's garden, and her grandma tells her about the Garden of Amahara, God's special little garden where he's planted all the flowers in the world. We then see Rin and Yukio in their dorm. Yukio's going on an exorcism and tells Rin to study, but Rin convinces Yukio to take him with, so they head out to grab supplies first. The shop happens to be run by Shiemi's mom, and Rin meets her and helps her in the garden. Meanwhile, Shiemi's mom asks Yukio to check Shiemi's legs. They stopped working, and no doctor can seem to figure out why. So, Yukio looks at her legs and realizes she has a temp taint. A demon is feeding off her through her legs. She must have talked with one for this to happen, but Shiemi insists that she didn't. Her mom then tells her to leave the garden alone, but Shiemi refuses, screaming at her mom before passing out. Her mom explains that Shiemi and her grandma were super close. Shiemi then has a dream about the last time she saw her grandma, as well as a conversation she had with a fairy. She then wakes up and starts watering her plants. Rin shows up and starts wrecking the plants to get Shiemi to snap out of it. But the reason Shiemi can't let go of the garden is because she blames herself for her grandma's death. Rin then realizes they're the same, both stuck in the past blaming themselves. So Rin talks her out of it, telling her to stop torturing her mom and to go look for the Garden of Amahara. Yukio shows up too, and Shiemi is finally ready to let the garden go, only to be captured by a demon. Luckily, Yukio tricks the demon into letting Shiemi go, and Rin cuts it down. Shiemi and her mom then hug and make up. The next day, Shiemi joins cram school with Rin, who seems to be developing a crush on her. But she is smitten with Yukio. Poor Rin. The next episode starts with Rin daydreaming about being a hero in class. Behind him, this rebellious-looking classmate, Ryuji Suguro, aka Bon, absolutely hates him for it. After a long day of school, Yukio gives everyone their quizzes back. Rin scores 2 out of 100, while Bon got a 98. Bon says it's because Rin's always flirting with Shiemi, and that pisses Rin off. Later, after Yukio gives Shiemi some advice, he leaves her and Rin alone. Rin is nervous, and Shiemi is about to ask him to be her friend when Bon shows up and calls them lovebirds. They get into a shouting match, which does not end there. PE class is next, and it has Rin and Bon running away from a giant frog demon called a Reaper. Their competition leads to both of them almost getting killed, and the teacher scolds Bon. Meanwhile, Bon's friends, pink-haired Renzo Shima and Four Eyes Konekomaru Miwa, tell Rin about the Blue Knight. 16 years ago, Satan came to the real world and killed the top clergyman in the world. The monk from Bon's temple survived, but it became known as the Cursed Temple, and people avoid it to this day. Renzo and Miwa are from that same temple, and they want to help Bon restore it to its former glory. And Bon, he just wants to kill Satan, like Rin. After that, Shiemi is pitted against the self-centered Izumo Kamiki, and she gets smoked. After that, their teacher gets a booty call. I'm not joking.
Teacher just called someone a kitty cat.
We're taking a break for a booty call. Are teachers allowed to do that?
Unbelievable.
So he leaves the kids alone and tells them to stay away from the Reaper. So naturally, Bon challenges Rin to go and touch the Reaper and come back. Rin doesn't fall for it, so Bon says he'll do it himself. He almost gets killed, but Rin saves him.
Hey! Let go! I said, let go!
He then tells Bon he's the one who's gonna beat Satan, and they get into another argument. Meanwhile, Yukio tells Mephisto that Rin didn't use the Kurikara sword. We then see Mephisto talking to Emaimon, the king of Earth. Turns out, Mephisto and Emaimon are also Satan's children, and Mephisto has apparently taken Rin under his wing. Wait a minute, is Yukio in on this too? Can Rin trust anyone? The next episode starts with Shiemi's mom asking her if she's made any new friends. She hasn't, so she decides to approach Ikumo and her friend Paku, and falls on her face. Ouch! Later, Yukio tells everyone that the Exorcist's X-Wire exam is coming up, and the school is hosting a training camp for it. If students want to participate, they have to choose what Meister they want to be in, which is basically like choosing your class. There are 5 Meisters: Knight, Dragoon, Tamer, Aria, and Doctor. Renzo and Konekomaru are gonna be Arias, exorcists who fight with Bible scriptures. Bon is gonna be that and a Dragoon who fights with firearms. They suggest Rin be a knight since he has a sword. Later, with the help of their eye patch-wearing teacher Igor Neuhaus, Izumo and Shiemi both turn out to be tamers who can summon familiars, with Shiemi summoning a cute little green guy she calls Ni. Shiemi tries to use this to become friends with Ikumo, who just uses her as an errand girl instead.
We'll be friends from now on. Really? Hang on to this for me, okay? I get tired easy because I'm not that strong. After all, friends are supposed to help each other out. That's what friends are for, right?
That's messed up. Boot camp starts soon after, and Rin is tired of seeing Shiemi working slave shifts for Ikumo. He confronts her, but she says he doesn't know what it's like. He's always had friends. I don't know if that's true. Anyway, Paku tells Ikumo she's messed up for doing all that to Shiemi, but Ikumo says she'll never do that to Paku. They're best friends after all, and they have been for a long time. But Paku says she's gonna quit cram school. She can't keep up and she doesn't see herself risking her life in battle either. Izumo tries talking her out of it when a demon attacks Paku. They both scream, so Rin and Shiemi rush in to help them. Izumo summons her familiars, but they sense her weakness and turn on her. Luckily, Rin saves Izumo and holds the demon off, while Ni grows some aloe vera to help Shiemi heal Paku. Rin holds the demon off long enough for Yukio to show up, and they chase it away. Afterwards, Izumo is super depressed that she couldn't help, but Rin tells her to pull it together. We then see who sent the demon. It was Igor. If you can't trust a guy with an eye patch, who can you trust? Episode 8 kicks off with Izumo having a nightmare about the whole demon thing. She then meets Rin and asks him to not tell anyone she was crying. After that, they join Yukio, who's treating Paku. Yukio's a dragoon and a doctor. He's so cool. Paku then tells Izumo she's definitely quitting cram school, but they'll always be friends. Meanwhile, after thinking about why that demon attacked, Rin helps out Shiemi, who's washing everyone's sheets because she's just nice like that. Later, in class, Izumo is too upset over Paku and blanks when the teacher asks her to recite an aria passage. Bon nails the passage, and Izumo disses him. They get in each other's faces and almost fight until Yukio breaks the whole thing up. Yukio then leaves them alone at boot camp and locks them in together so they can bond with each other. But the minute Yukio leaves, the lights go out, and the demon from before attacks them. Turns out, it's a ghoul, so its powers get amplified in the darkness. Shiemi holds it off for a bit, but the ghoul splits in two. Rin leads one of its halves outside to deal with it, while Konekomaru and Bon decide they're going to recite aria passage to get rid of the other one. Meanwhile, Rin is about to turn the power back on when the ghoul catches up to him. Rin brings out his power, and Igor Neuhaus says that's exactly what he's been waiting for. Rin recognizes him and brings out his sword, cutting down the ghoul, only for Neuhaus to escape.
Just as I thought.
Meanwhile, Bon barely gets rid of the demon in the nick of time, and he gets some help from Izumo too. She's got her mojo back. After the fight, Yukio shows up to check on everyone, and so does Neuhaus. Rin's about to lose it when he gets drop-kicked by Mephisto. Turns out this demon attack was their X-Wire exam. There were teachers hiding all over the place to ensure student safety, and Mephisto will go over their reports to decide who passed. Later, Rin and the others discuss the exam, wondering if they'll pass. Meanwhile, Yukio confronts Neuhaus. He says Neuhaus was too hard on Rin, but Neuhaus says that's the job Mephisto gave him. While Yukio is in charge of controlling Rin's powers, Neuhaus is in charge of seeing how far Rin's powers can go. After that, Yukio goes to Shiemi's shop, and they talk about how they first met all those years ago. Yukio was a new exorcist, and he visited the shop with Fujimoto. Shiemi was super shy, but they ended up getting along. Now though, Shiemi has to decide whether she really wants to be an exorcist or not. Everyone can see she has the ability to be a tamer. The choice is up to her. Yukio then remembers something Neuhaus said and leaves immediately. Speaking of Neuhaus, he's in Rin's dorm, and shockingly, tries to stab him. Is this still part of the test? Yukio knew that this was gonna happen and already got Rin out of the room. Yukio fights Neuhaus, and their battle takes them up to the roof. There, Neuhaus summons his biggest demon, and that is when Rin shows up. It's tough, but the brothers manage to corner Neuhaus. Rin asks Neuhaus why he's doing this, so he explains. Turns out, Satan possessed Neuhaus on the Blue Night, took his eye, and made him slaughter his family. Yeesh. Neuhaus says he won't let Satan or any demons walk free, including Rin. He then stabs Rin, who takes it with a smile. Rin says he can take a lot more, but under one condition.
That you won't drag innocent people into it again!
This moves Neuhaus, who just leaves. Shiemi then shows up, and as she heals Rin, decides she will become an exorcist. Later, Mephisto tells everyone they passed the X-Wire exam and takes them out to celebrate. He then calls Emaimon and tells him to come to True Cross. Neuhaus failed to complete his mission. Oh boy. Episode 10 starts with Rin complaining about the heat, before getting into an argument with Yukio. Yukio calls him immature and rash, saying he relies too much on Satan's power to fight. Rin gets mad at Yukio for acting like a hotshot, and because Shiemi likes him. That's tough. Their argument is interrupted by Yukio getting a call for a mission, and Rin shamelessly tags along with him. There, they see the black cat Kuro on a rampage. Kuro used to be Fujimoto's familiar, and it just found out that its master is dead. While the exorcists focus on taking Kuro down, Rin can hear what Kuro's saying, and Kuro is calling them all liars. Turns out, Kuro can't believe that Fujimoto's dead. After all, he was the paladin, the strongest exorcist of them all. Yukio says Fujimoto gave him a weapon to use in case Kuro ever went berserk, and he plans to use it. But Rin steps in, saying Kuro is just sad. So for once, Rin uses his head in battle. Literally.
Actually used his head?
After that, Rin talks to Kuro, saying he knows Kuro's sad and offers to become friends. Yukio and Kuro both have a flashback to when Fujimoto tamed Kuro and used almost the same exact words. Kuro finally accepts that their master is dead and starts crying. Mephisto, Emaimon, and Neuhaus are all watching this, and Emaimon is interested in Rin now, but he's gonna check out Japan first. Valid. Meanwhile, Kuro gets assigned as Rin's familiar, and that weapon Fujimoto gave Yukio, it's just Silvervine sake, a drink that Kuro loves. The next episode starts with Emaimon and Mephisto finally being done goofing off. Emaimon is going after his half-brother Rin now. Speaking of Rin, he and his classmates are on a mission in the theme park Mephiland. They're all looking for a ghost, which is when a demon mimics the last emotions of a dead person. They get split up in pairs, and Rin is with Shiemi, who's looking super cute in her new uniform. Rin and Shiemi search for the ghost and agree to come back to Mephiland on a normal day. That's when they find the ghost, and it's a crying kid. Shiemi consoles it, only for the ghost to be an asshole and a perv. Rin and Shiemi split up to look for him, and Shiemi finds him. But the ghost isn't easy to catch. Meanwhile, Emaimon takes Rin's sword, introduces himself, and starts a fight with him. While Shiemi finds out the ghost just wants to play, Bon and his hooded classmate, only known as Yamada, look on as Emaimon beats the living snot out of Rin.
I don't understand it. Why would Father and my big brother be so obsessed with this one?
While Shiemi is playing with the kid, Emaimon puts her in danger. So, Rin saves her, but that leads him to getting whooped even more. Emaimon is about to break the Kurikata sword when Yamada shows up. They summon a sword and fight off Emaimon. So Emaimon tosses the Kurikata sword and says he'll be back before escaping. Yukio shows up, and that's when Yamada reveals their true identity. The multicolored hair-having badass senior exorcist first class Shura Kirigakure. Quick question though, why is she in a bikini? We're not getting an answer to that question, unfortunately, but Shura has a lot of questions for Rin. After clearing things up with the exorcists, she drags Rin to the Japan HQ of the Knights of the True Cross. There, she confronts Mephisto and asks him why he didn't report on Rin being Satan's son. Mephisto says he wanted to bring Rin's full potential out first, so Shura takes Rin to a special cell to interrogate him. There, Shura says she was Fujimoto's student before she snatches his sword. But Rin can use Satan's power without the sword now. She remembers Fujimoto asking her to train Rin and her saying no. She then draws her own sword, and the interrogation is on. Shura proceeds to dominate Rin, wondering why Fujimoto would let Satan's son live under his roof. But when she sees his resolve, Shura realizes Fujimoto wasn't raising a weapon, he was raising a son. So, she takes away his sword and gives him a wooden one. He can have the Kurikara sword back when he earns it. Shura then tells Mephisto she'll be in Japan keeping an eye on Rin, and Mephisto is not happy with Amaimon's antics. Later that night, Kuro finds Rin on the roof and asks him what he's doing. Turns out, he's just remembering his old man. Rin has a flashback to when he was a kid and was on a total rampage, even sending a classmate to the hospital. Everyone around looked at him like he was a monster, everyone except Fujimoto. He hugged Rin and explained how Rin should use his powers to help people, not hurt them. Back in the present, Rin decides to train with Kuro. The next day, Shura is introduced as a new teacher for Rin's class, and Rin's okay with that, as long as she helps him become the next paladin. The next episode starts with summer break, except Rin and his class aren't going on break. Instead, they'll be headed on a 3-day training camp in the forest to determine whether they're mission ready or not. It starts out pretty nice. The class sets up camp together, Rin cooks food for everyone, and they have a good time. Rin realizes this is what having friends is like, and he likes it. After that, Yukio explains the training. There are 3 lanterns in the forest. Whoever comes back with a lit lantern will win. That means only 3 of them can win. It's a competition. Shura tells Rin he can't use his powers. She'll have to report him if he does. And then the Arc Knight and Paladin will be on his ass. With that, the mission begins. Rin is immediately swarmed by small moth demons, as is Shiemi, who screams out for help after losing Ni. Rin hears her scream and helps her, using his blue flames against the moth. He immediately gets rid of them, and that's when Bon shows up. Luckily, he didn't see Rin using the flames, so he's in the clear for now. Renzo shows up too, and they get a text from Konekomaru. He found a lantern, and he needs help. While Yukio and Shuro discuss her teaching Rin how to use a sword, Amaimon and Mephisto watch from afar, and Amaimon wants to mess with Rin. Speaking of Rin, he and the others find Konekomaru. Turns out, the lantern is actually a demon called Peg Lantern. If they light it, they'll have to fight it. Looks like it's not a competition after all. Luckily, Konekomaru comes up with a plan to carry the lantern back. On the way back, they see someone sent up a distress signal. One of their teammates quit. Anyway, it's a really good plan, and it's working smoothly, until Rin accidentally sets a giant moth demon free. Oh, god damn it, Rin. The next episode sees Bon freeing Rin from the moth demon, but that's all he can do, so they gotta haul ass out of there. After that, they all tell Rin that they're his friends now, and will help him defeat Satan. That came out of nowhere, but it's wholesome, so I'll take it. They get back to see that Ikumo and their puppet-wielding classmate Takara also completed the mission. So, who fired the distress signal? No time to figure that out, because Amaimon shows up. Shura is prepared though, and locks him out of the camp with a barrier. She then splashes everyone with holy water, except Rin, because it hurt him like real bad, and explains that X-Wires like themselves are no match for Amaimon. Meanwhile, Yukio is dealing with the moth demons, including the big one. They can't contact anyone for help, so Shura gives Rin his sword back and tells him to lock the in. That's when Shiemi walks out of the circle and into Amaimon's hands. Turns out, Amaimon had one of the moths plant a parasite in her. Now, he's using her to rage bait the hell out of Rin.
I know. I'm going to make this pretty young thing my wife. Huh?
After getting his ass beat by Amaimon again, Rin's friends show up to help him out. And while Bon is being choked to death, he's got something to say to Rin. He asks why Rin has always gotta play hero, and Rin realizes what he must do. Yukio shows up and tries to stop him, but Rin's made up his mind. He unsheathes his sword in front of all of his friends and brings out his power. He fights Amaimon, while Shura shows up. After Yukio takes out Shiemi's parasite, they all move to safety, while Rin puts belt to Amaimon's ass. Amaimon's been defeated, so Mephisto tries taking him to safety, but that doesn't go well.
Now then.
Is he dead? In any case, it looks like Rin's power has consumed him. He's turned into a monster. Turns out, Amaimon's still alive, but he's terrified. Rin's rampage leads him to his friends, and he's about to let loose until Shiemi calms him down.
It's alright. It's gonna be alright.
Aww. It's not over though, because that's when the man with glorious blonde locks, Arthur Auguste Angel, shows up. He's a senior exorcist first class, and he just got appointed to be the new paladin. He demands answers from Shura for not reporting on the son of Satan, and after a brief battle, takes Rin prisoner and brings Mephisto with him. They're both taken to the Grigori, the leaders of the True Cross, where they stand trial. Meanwhile, the Kurikara sword has been cracked, so it can't contain Rin's power anymore. Luckily, the sword is from Bon's temple, and he knows someone who might be able to fix it. Konekomaru's not too hot on saving the son of Satan, but Shiemi and Yukio beg everyone for their help. Mephisto gives his reason for saving Rin. He wants to use Rin as a weapon against Satan, and Arthur opposes that idea. Meanwhile, Bon takes his friends to visit the 11th generation swordsmith Yoshikuni. After embarrassing Bon a bit, she reveals that she needs a special ritual performed on iron to reforge a demon sword. Luckily, Bon's sister temple has that in the form of some nails. So, they go there and find that everyone in the temple is passed out. Turns out, the temple has been taken over by an old-timey demon called Mara. Mara tries turning Bon and Yukio against Rin, but they fight the demon off with the help of their friends and secure the nails they came for. Meanwhile, the Grigori are seriously considering letting Rin live. They've never had a weapon strong enough to beat Satan. That's when Amaimon attacks HQ, and Mephisto says this is their chance to see Rin in action. What a scheming little bastard. And his schemes are working, because Arthur and Shura can't keep Amaimon at bay. Luckily, Rin's friends show up with the repaired Kurikara sword. They manage to get it to him, and Rin wakes up, kills Amaimon for real this time.
Impossible! I am king of Earth! How could I lose? How could I ever lose?
And passes out again. And after the display, the Grigori decide to spare him. He's their only real shot at beating Satan. Then, Rin is set free. But things aren't going back to normal anytime soon. Not only are Bon and Konekomaru not trusting of him anymore, he has to pass the exorcist authorization exam in 6 months or he's gonna be killed. So Shura puts him up to training his flame powers using candles. That oddly makes sense. She says controlling his flames is the key. He won't be allowed to use his sword until he does. And that's the last canon part of this season. Kind of. We'll explain later. Season 2 kicks off with a little boy getting taken hostage by someone in a gas mask, who then releases black miasma from a container with an eye. We then see Rin, still training with the candles, but not getting anywhere. That's when Shura shows up to take him on a mission. Yukio's there too, and a man named Saburota Todo fills him in. Turns out, the left eye of a very strong demon called the Impure King has been stolen from the Deep Keep, the most secure area of the True Cross Academy. The young boy's mother asks if her kid is okay, and Rin says he'll save him. But Yukio says they can't make promises like that. They aren't superheroes. Shura then drags Rin away while Yukio and Todo head in. But Rin joins them anyway. They go inside, they find the culprit, and Yukio shoots him. He retrieves the eye, only to realize it's a fake. Turns out, Todo is the bad guy. His family's been guarding the left eye for generations, but he's fed up of it. So he fell into a demon's temptation and betrayed the true cross. He tells Yukio he'll do the same one day and vanishes. After he's gone, Yukio starts treating the kid, all while working through his doubts. He saves the kid and returns to his mom. He then joins Mephisto to head for another mission chasing down Todo, telling Rin to stay put. This makes Rin mad, but there's some good news. He and his class are going on a mission to Kyoto. Unfortunately, his enthusiasm is curbed when he realizes his classmates are still giving him the cold shoulder. Everyone except Izumo, it seems. Anyway, Shura fills them in on the situation. Someone tried to steal the right eye of the Impure King from the Tokyo Deep Keep as well. They failed, but they're definitely going to try again. So, they're gonna head over, treat the injured exorcists, and help out. Shura fills them in on the Impure King. He was an old demon that gave out diseases. Spooky. The guy who killed him took out his eyes as proof, and they both release a deadly black miasma. Anyway, Rin asks Izumo why she's not afraid of him. Izumo says it's not a big deal. A bunch of exorcists are mixes of humans and demons. In fact, the only issue here is that he happens to be Satan's son. She then calls out her classmates for being cowards and starts an argument. We then see flashbacks of Rin's classmates shunning him. Tiny retcon here, and that's how we got here today. Bon blames Rin for the Blue Knight, and Rin says that's unfair, which is true. Shura breaks it up and says they have to fight together, whether they like it or not. Episode 2 sees Rin and his friends picked up by Kinzo Shima, a fellow exorcist sent by the Kyoto branch. And he's the older brother of our own Renzo. They make their way to the inn the injured exorcists are in. Turns out, the inn is run by Bon's family, and his mom, Torako, is not a fan of his hair.
What the hell do you go and dye your hair for? What do you think you are, some kind of rooster?
Shura lets Renzo, Konekomaru, and Bon, who are all from Kyoto, spend time with their families, while everyone else is told to treat the injured. Not Rin, though. Looks like nobody trusts him. Renzo meets his dad, Yaozo Shima, and Bon asks him about his own dad, Tatsuma. Bon's got a bone to pick with him. We then see Rin cutting watermelons for Tatsuma. Tatsuma asks him about Bon, and Rin says he knows Bon's a good guy, he just wishes they could get along, and Tatsuma wishes the same thing. While Shura checks out the Deep Keep, there's infighting in the Kyoto sect. The eldest Shima son, Juzo Shima, gets into an argument with the Hojo sisters, Mamushi, Nishiki, and Ao. Their infighting almost reaches Yaozo, but Bon protects him and chews them out. Mamushi points out that this is all Tatsuma's fault for being a terrible leader to the Miyoda sect, and Bon agrees. The Miyoda sect specializes in exorcising demons. One flashback later, Bon asks if he can go see his dad in the mountains, but Shura refuses, so he just goes to bed. Konekomaru avoids having dinner with Rin, but Renzo does, and ends up chilling out about the whole son of Satan thing. Meanwhile, we see what happened to the Miyoda sect. After the Blue Night, people started losing faith in it and began leaving, so Tatsuma joined the Knights of the True Cross and handed responsibilities over to Yaozo and Uwabami Hojo. Uwabami tells Bon he thinks the person who tried stealing the right eye is among them, and Bon agrees to help, on the condition that his dad is in the loop. Meanwhile, Yukio and his squad's search leads to a dead end. Todo is still out there, and he's put the impure king's left eye into his own. The next episode starts with Bon and Konekomaru having breakfast, with Rin behind them. After Bon leaves, Renzo shows up and has breakfast with Rin. Kinzo shows up and flying kicks Renzo, as all older brothers should. Juzo joins them, and Konekomaru is pissed. Later, he confronts Renzo, who tells him to chill out. They all know Rin is a good guy. Meanwhile, Bon is waiting for his dad at the Miyoda meeting, but it looks like he's gonna be a no-show, and Bon is mad. The meeting starts, and Juzo explains what happened the day the Deep Keep was infiltrated. Juzo called Tatsuma in because the sacred flame was acting up, so Tatsuma checked it, only for it to go berserk. While Tatsuma tried controlling it, Mamushi made a run for the left eye, and Yaozo ended up securing it while Tatsuma released the flames. Mamushi, her sisters, Yaozo, Juzo, and Tatsuma were the only 6 people there, which means one of them is the traitor. Mamushi and Jozo were the students of Todo back in the day, so they're under suspicion. After a debate, Tatsuma ends up being discussed as the traitor, and Yaozo dismisses the meeting. They'll have to decide later. But Bon is mad. He says everyone is right to suspect his dad. Talk about daddy issues, jeez. Meanwhile, Shiemi spills some tea, and since she can't summon Ni anymore, she starts spiraling, thinking she's useless. Luckily, Izumo cheers her up in her own way, and Shiemi is a-okay now. Meanwhile, Rin's training isn't going so great, so he takes a break to cool off. He then runs into Konekomaru, who's paying respects to his family. They all died in the Blue Night. Rin tries talking to him, so Konekomaru runs away. When Rin confronts him, Konekomaru says Rin needs to stay away from Bon. He explains how the Miyoda sect is all he's got left, and that anyone who's a threat to them is his enemy. So Rin just says he'll have to prove he's not a threat. Besides, Konekomaru does have something other than Miyoda, his friends, and that makes Konekomaru tear up. Rin resumes his training, Shiemi decides to train as well, and the suspicion is growing in the Miyoda sect. Episode 4 starts with Bon spying on Juzo. Some of his subordinates tell him about a meeting the director just set, so Juzo says he'll look into it before heading to the field office. Bon follows and finds that all the security there has been attacked. Inside, Juzo is smiling. What the hell is going on? Meanwhile, Rin finally lights the candles and he's super happy. Only for Shura to say his real training begins now. Meanwhile, it turns out Juzo isn't the traitor, it's actually Mamushi. She explains why she's doing it. Apparently, she didn't know about the existence of the left eye until Todo told her one day. She then found out about the whole son of Satan thing and decided that Mephisto was a traitor and that Tatsuma was a traitor too for giving the Kurikara sword to Fujimoto. She believes Todo will seal the eyes in a safe place, which is not the case. Yaozo, Uwabami, and Tatsuma see the whole thing on security cameras, and Uwabami reluctantly sends security right after his daughter. Bon tries to calm them down, but Juzo and Mamushi start fighting. That's when the ground starts shaking. Someone is breaking into the facility. Rin and Shura decide to go there, and what do you know, it's Todo. Juzo tries talking Mamushi out of it, but it's useless. She and Todo disappear with the right eye. In the aftermath, Bon confronts his dad in front of everyone, asking where he's been. But Tatsuma says it's a secret so important he can't even tell his own son. He then tries to brush Bon off, but he's not having it. He says his dad only shows up when it's convenient, and says Tatsuma can forget about being his dad if he walks away from this. Tatsuma is about to do exactly that until Rin jumps in. He tells Tatsuma to stop walking away from his son, and then he punches Bon. Rin knows what it's like to have regrets over not settling things with his dad before he died, and he's not going to let it happen to Bon. They start fighting, and Rin's emotions get the better of him. His blue flames come out, and everyone is stunned. Juzo tries attacking Rin, but Shura knocks Rin out and takes him to a cell. She has a lot of explaining to do, though. After that, Yaozo tells Juzo to trail Tatsuma, who slips Shura an envelope while acting like a pervert. After that, Yukio and his team join Shura and the others for a meeting. Meanwhile, we see Juzo and Mamushi together, and Mamushi has implanted the right eye in herself. This is bad. Back at the meeting, Yaozo explains that if the impure king's eyes come together, it'll release an even more deadly miasma. But Yukio's not buying that. He thinks Todo's up to something more sinister. We then see Rin trapped in his cage having flashbacks. Some of these retcon the story, like retconning Emaimon's death in the courtroom and switching up the trial a bit. It's a bit of a mess, but just go with it. Shura and Yukio make their way to Rin, and Yukio hates that Rin keeps letting his emotions get the better of him. But Shura says that's actually good for an exorcist. People like Yukio who keep their feelings hidden are more likely to be turned evil by demons. Interesting. Meanwhile, Izumo praises Shiemi for all her hard work when Bon shows up and fills them in on what happened with Rin. Speaking of Rin, Shura tells him that the envelope Tatsuma gave her was actually for him, so Yukio reads it aloud. In the letter, Tatsuma explains his backstory. His wife Torako was sick with the right eye's miasma, and he was super worried about her. But Tatsuma's father was having none of it. Tatsuma's dad was sick too, but refused to give up his duties, and asked Tatsuma to do the same. And what was Tatsuma's duty? Praying and tending to the sacred flame every single day. One day he was doing just that when a demon came crashing down. Turns out the man who took it down was Fujimoto. And that's when he just took the kurikara from Tatsuma. Bon and Rin's dad knew each other? As the brothers think about this revelation, Tatsuma is running toward something. While they continue reading the letter, Todo and Mamushi make it to the old Myoda temple. Apparently, they're gonna return to Goma Hall, where the right eye of the impure king was originally kept. Back with the letter, Tatsuma explains that Fujimoto passed out from his injuries, so they healed him up. Fujimoto then woke up and immediately asked for the sword. He needed it to kill a kid? But Tatsuma couldn't give it away. It belonged to Fukaku, the founder of the Myoda sect. He used it to beat the impure king and take his eyes all those years ago. Tatsuma refused, so Fujimoto said he'd find it on his own. Their argument led to a room full of people suffering from the miasma, and Fujimoto got mad at everyone for trying to heal them with prayers. He then made medicine to save everyone, including Torako. After that, he asked for the sword again, only to be chased by Tatsuma's dad and his men. Turns out, it was the Miyoda policy to kill any outsiders who found out about the sword. Tatsuma realized his dad was just following the rules like a stubborn old fart and turned his back on him. Tatsuma then gave Fujimoto the Kurikara sword and showed him the way out. With that, they became friends. Sometime after, the Blue Night occurred. Tatsuma's father died in it, and that's when he learnt the secrets of the Miyoda. We then see Todo and Mamushi breaking into a secret room in Goma Hall after Mamushi gives him the right eye. And inside is the body of the impure king. Tatsuma's letter explains, turns out Fukaku couldn't kill the impure king, so with the help of a fire demon named Karura, he took out the impure king's eyes and sealed the impure king away. In exchange, every head of the Miyoda has to pray to the sacred flame and never reveal this to anyone. Karura feeds off the lies and suspicion from secrets. Damn! So Tatsuma actually had a really good reason to hide things from his son. Back with Mamushi, Tatsuma shows up to protect her and starts fighting Todo. Unfortunately, despite Karura's immense power, he can't stop Todo, who revives the impure king. He takes Mamushi outside where Juzo shows up. Juzo takes Mamushi to safety and plans to call for backup, while Tatsuma uses a super powerful seal to bind the impure king for now. That's not so bad. Oh, no.
Oh dear.
Turns out, Todo wasn't after the impure king at all. He just used that to draw Tatsuma, and more specifically Karura, out. He then eats Karura, making its power his own. Tatsuma is stunned. A human shouldn't be able to do that. Back with the letter, it ends with Tatsuma begging Rin to defeat the impure king with the Kurikara sword. That was a lot. Yukio is against Rin helping out, but Shura says it's Rin's choice. Rin says he wants to help, so Shura gives him the Kurikara sword. But Rin can't draw it, because he's too scared he'll hurt someone he cares about. And things are about to get worse, because Mephisto shows up and traps Rin in an inescapable prison. Apparently, the Grigori heard about this flare-up and have sentenced him to death. Until then, Mephisto gives Shura and Yukio some stuff to help against the impure king and vanishes. Yukio just heads on to help against the impure king. Does he not care about Rin? Anyway, Juzo brings Mamushi back, who explains everything and begs for everyone's help. Everyone gets vaccinated in preparation for fighting the impure king, while Juzo takes Mamushi to get treated. Meanwhile, Shura gives Rin's friends what Mephisto gave her, some camo suits that'll make them invisible. She tells them about Rin's death sentence. She can't help him, so they have to break him out. If Rin defeats the impure king, he'll probably get pardoned. After reading his dad's letter, Bon agrees, and everyone else follows. Unfortunately, the prison freezes anyone with hostile intent towards it, so everyone except Shiemi gets frozen. With no other chance, she opens the prison and walks inside. There, Rin is blaming himself for everything and thinks he'd probably be better off dead. Damn. That's when Shiemi walks in and asks him to come with her. Rin doesn't want to. He thinks he's a monster who'll hurt people. So Shiemi shows him that he's not, in the most effective way possible. A good old hug.
Rin. I'm sorry.
Don't. You're gonna get burned. It's not safe.
I couldn't be safer.
Rin realizes his flames aren't burning her, and his belief is back. So together, they break out of prison. Outside, Bon gives Rin the Kurikara sword back. Rin tells Bon to trust him, even if he's the son of Satan. But that's not why Bon is mad at him. Turns out, Bon was mad at Rin for not telling him about his powers. Bon thought they were friends, and he thought Rin not telling him meant he didn't trust him. Oh wow, yeah, that actually makes sense. With his confidence and friends both back, Rin is ready to take on the Impure King. Episode 8 starts with the Impure King's miasma spreading, as well as the Impure King itself. While Miyoda sets up to deal with the Impure King, Rin and his friends find Tatsuma, and a little Karura. Turns out, Karura is a phoenix, so it can just be reborn. It heals Tatsuma's wounds, but he's lost a lot of blood. Anyway, Bon asks for the truth, so Tatsuma explains the situation. He then says the Impure King is going to grow to the size of a castle, and that his only weak spot is gonna be his heart inside a sporangium in the middle. Rin has to cut it. Unfortunately, he still can't draw the sword. Performance issues, huh? Tatsuma then says that he has to put up a barrier around the Impure King to stop the miasma from spreading, but he's too weak to do it. Karura says Bon can do it though, but Tatsuma doesn't want to pass this curse down to his own kid. Unfortunately, Tatsuma can't do this on his own anymore, so he doesn't have the luxury of that choice. So Karura is passed down to Bon, and Tatsuma teaches him how to make the barrier. After that, Tatsuma collapses. Shiemi and Ikumo stay with him, while Rin and Bon head over to set up the barrier. Rin will protect him, without the sword, of course, while everyone else fights the Impure King. Yukio notices something in the forest. It's Todo, and he's a lot younger. Todo starts shooting at Yukio and asks him about Rin. Uh-oh. While Kura transforms to take Rin and Bon inside the huge-ass castle, and Shiemi and Izumo take care of Tatsuma, Todo is getting inside Yukio's head. He says Fujimoto always treated Rin like he was special, while he made Yukio work hard to become an exorcist, all to protect Rin. He says Yukio can admit he has all the resentment. After all, Rin doesn't know how hard Yukio worked to get here. As Todo puts it,
"It's okay to say it's not fair. It's okay to say you can't stand this anymore. It's okay to say you hate your brother. And you do, don't you?"
And the look on Yukio's face is not reassuring. Yukio eventually stops shooting and thinks about how he always used to look up to Rin, but there was always an element of resentfulness there. But as Yukio summons some water spirits and traps Todo, he says the truth. He loves Rin and hates him too, but what he hates most is himself and his own weakness. Thank God he didn't turn on Rin. Speaking of Rin, he and Bon are riding on Kuro's back, making it inside the Impure King castle. They drop Bon off at a safe place, and he creates a huge barrier around the Impure King. While Rin has to worry about destroying the sporangium, Todo breaks out of his watery prison and smacks Yukio away. This is bad. Todo gears up to kill Yukio, and Rin can tell his brother is in trouble. For now, though, he needs to take down the sporangium. And while he's talking a big game, he still can't draw Kurikara. We then see Renzo deciding all this responsibility business is too much for him. He ditches Konekomaru and is about to leave until his conscience gets the better of him and he comes back to help his friend. Meanwhile, Izumo has her familiars carry Tatsuma down the mountain, and it's going smoothly until the Impure King's goo captures her. Izumo's familiars disappear too, so she tells Shiemi to run for it. But Shiemi refuses and puts all her effort into summoning Ni. And it works. Ni comes back and grows to the size of a tree to help break Izumo out. Meanwhile, it looks like Rin's efforts have been in vain. In the end, he can't draw his sword, and the sporangium explodes. We then see Yukio about to be killed, when something inside him wakes up. After so many years of not being there, Yukio's Satan powers have just showed a flash. It was enough to buy him time too, because Juzo and his men are here to give Todo the business. Episode 10 sees everyone dealing with the pressure and toxins from the sporangium bursting, but they have a much bigger problem. The Impure King is fully resurrected and he's about to crush Bon. Back with Yaoza, Shura, and the others, they decide to regroup outside of the barrier, since they'll die of demon cancer by staying inside. And that's not a really good way to go. Meanwhile, Juzo and his men are seriously outmatched by Toro, and he explains why. Juzo and his men are using flames to fight, and when two similar elements collide, the stronger one always absorbs the weaker one. So Yukio comes up with a plan for Juzo to hit Toro with a huge fire attack. Toro absorbs that one too, and it looks like he's gotten even stronger. But that was all part of Yukio's plan. Turns out, Toro's absorbed too much and his body turns to ash. And since it's raining, he can't regenerate quickly enough and gets turned into an ashy goo. Yukio says this will buy them enough time to seal him in containers, but he's wrong, because even the ashy goo pins down Juzo and his team. Meanwhile, Kone Komoru and Renzo tell Shura what's going on, so she heads inside the barrier to help Bon and Rin. Speaking of Bon, he uses Karura's powers to burn the impure king and push him back for now. Unfortunately, that took a lot out of Bon. He can't hold up the barrier for more than 15 minutes. He tells Rin to run away and evacuate as many people as he can, but Rin refuses to run, and Bon accepts that. They're friends after all. With Bon's belief back in him, Rin finally gets over his mental block and draws the sword.
What the hell did you save my life for?
Shura arrives just in time to see Rin lighting the impure king on fire. He's back, baby! The next episode starts with Rin facing the impure king while Shura protects Bon. Unfortunately, it's not a quick job and Bon ends up passing out, which means the barrier is gone. Luckily, the rain will keep the miasma at bay for a bit, but they need to figure this out soon. Back with Yukio, he's battling Toro while denying the claims that Yukio is just like him. Eventually, Yukio manages to put Toro down long enough for him, Juzo, and the others to escape. But Toro's words are really getting to Yukio. Rin needs a way to take down the impure king. It shows up in the form of Uchushima, the fire demon Juzo and the others were using. Uchushima puts itself inside Kurikara, giving Rin the strength to burn the impure king and everyone else on the mountain. There's no time to argue, so Rin unleashes an attack on the impure king. Meanwhile, Shiemi finally gets over her own mental block and saves Izumo. Juzo and Yukio then see the blue flames, and Yukio runs towards his brother. Back with Rin, he's struggling with his demonic instincts and wants to burn down the whole world. Luckily, the memories of Shiemi and his friends pull him back to his senses, and he knows what he has to do. He controls his blue flames so that they only burn the impure king and his spores, while leaving humans unaffected. It's incredible, and Mephisto puts it perfectly. After the impure king is gone, Uchushima says he doesn't know if Rin is a human or a demon, but says he'll have to choose one day before leaving. Rin makes up with Bon and Kone Komoru in the aftermath, before Yukio shows up and punches him for breaking out of his prison. But Rin says this is who he is, and Yukio needs to accept that before passing out. In the aftermath of the battle, everyone gets taken back to the Ryuji Inn. Juzo tells Mamushi that they won, and the poor girl just cries in his arms. Meanwhile, Rin gets friend-zoned by Shiemi in front of everyone, so that's something to keep an eye on. Anyway, Yaozo has a meeting with Mephisto about Rin, after which Shura confronts Mephisto about his plans for Rin. Mephisto won't tell her anything, so she's keeping her eye on him. Yukio is worried too, but Shura assures him that Rin will stay alive for now. Yukio spends the night stressing out. In the morning, Rin tells him they have to talk, but it can wait. After that, Bon decides to ask his dad to be a proper leader to the Miyota sect, but they're interrupted by Juzo announcing he's gonna marry Mamushi. This is the first anyone's hearing of this, including Mamushi. After some hilarious back and forth, Mamushi accepts his bold proposal, and Uwabami gives them their blessing. Tatsuma tells Bon that the Miyota sect doesn't need him to protect them anymore, and Bon accepts it. After that, it's time for Rin and his friends to go touring around Kyoto. After a long day of fun, Rin has a talk with Yukio. Yukio makes it clear he doesn't approve of Rin being an exorcist, and he won't until Rin proves he's not a threat, and Rin accepts that. After all, the most important thing is that they have each other's backs, because they're brothers. Yukio thinks about telling Rin that he had a flash of Satan's powers himself, but decided against it. Hypocrite. Still, he accepts Rin and his ambition, and that brings Season 2 to an end. Season 3 kicks off in high school, where Rin sees a demon walking around class, and so does his classmate, Sei Godain. Rin calms Godain down after class and fills him in on all the lore about demons and temptates. The next day, Rin gets a letter from Mephisto about his execution being postponed and is invited to Mephisto's house for a banquet. That's when he hears a scream. It's Godain being followed by a demon. Since nobody else can see it, Godain looks insane. Rin scares the demon away, but Godain is not in good shape. So Rin tries to look for a way to make someone stop seeing demons. We then see Yukio talking to Shura, and Yukio has been avoiding his physical checkup because of the whole Satan power thing. Rin then goes to Mephisto's banquet. If anyone knows how to remove a temptaint, it's gotta be him. At this banquet, Mephisto reveals his true nature to Rin. Not only is he a demon from Gehenna, he's the second most powerful one there. His real name is Samael, the King of Time. He then kinda whoops Rin's ass for a bit, saying he still has a long way to go. It's still super unclear where exactly Mephisto's loyalties lie. He then reveals that he has eye drops that will stop Godain from seeing demons, but he's not giving them away for free. For that, Rin and his friends need to take down a possessed painting on campus called Family Portrait. Rin tries cutting it down, but it's being possessed by a shapeshifter, a demon who can cast illusions. Konekomaru saves them all using a barrier, and then goes off, telling everyone their weaknesses, before he says he's gonna handle team strategy. Bon agrees, and Konekomaru figures out the shapeshifter's trick. Its power lies in multiple paintings. With that, he has Rin, Izumo, and Renzo attack the paintings at the same time. We then cut to Yemen? The Paladin Arthur and an Arc Knight named Lewin Light, aka Lightning, are fighting the demon Impure Princess. Arthur's mad about not getting to defeat the Impure King, so this is his shot at redemption. He takes the demon down, but it warns him of some evil times to come. Classic, standard villain stuff. We then see Rin give Godain the eye drops and tell him about being half demon. Godain thanks him, and Rin heads off to have dinner with his friends. The episode ends with Mephisto saying the border between Gehenna and Astir is starting to blur, and he's gonna make things more interesting. Evil scumbag. The next episode starts with Yukio having a meeting with all the heads of the True Cross. The Grigori are all there, as well as Arthur and Lightning. He signs a Morinath contract and answers some questions about Toro, swearing to hunt him down. The Morinath contract means that if Yukio doesn't do as he says, a demon will chase and kill him. After the meeting, Yukio teases Rin about his relationship with Shiemi before going over to tutor her. As he does, Yukio thinks. Turns out, Yukio's physical exam came back perfect. but he knows Mephisto knows about his powers showing up, so why hasn't Mephisto done anything about it yet? For now, he focuses on having tea with Shiemi. And what do you know? He has a good time. The next day, Yukio gives Rin and his friends another assignment. Apparently, a demon named Mayuko is terrorizing one of the girls' bathrooms. Since it only appears in front of girls, Izumo and Shiemi are the ones who will lead the charge. Shiemi is excited to work with Izumo, but Izumo is not. Turns out, she's still mad at the fact Shiemi saved her life, and she still hasn't paid her back yet, so she plans to do it now. Unfortunately, when Mayuko shows up, Izumo's familiars don't listen to her, and they end up in a rough spot. So, Shiemi has Ni grow the familiars some rice and begs them to help. Shiemi then starts getting strangled, so the familiars step up for her sake. Izumo takes Mayuko down, but she's still mad. She knows she couldn't have done anything without Shiemi. Luckily, the guys show up in their disguises for some much-needed laughs.
That's what you meant by getting ready?
We then cut to Russia, where after fighting some demons, Sura, Arthur, and Lightning make a terrifying discovery. Someone's created a gate to Gehenna. Mephisto creates a barrier that'll stop the gate's progress for 4 to 5 months, but it's clear this was a man-made gate, and only one organization could have done that, the Illuminati. We then see Toro meeting the leader of the Illuminati, a sick old man in bed. The following episode starts with Lightning revealing that there are Illuminati spies in True Cross, 2 at the Vatican and 1 at the Japan branch. Meanwhile, the True Cross Festival is coming up, and Rin and Renzo are looking forward to it, especially the dance. Izumo, Konekomaru, and Bon aren't going to the dance, so it's up to Rin and Renzo to find dates. And it's not going well. We get a quick shot of Shura being suspicious of Takara before getting back to Rin. A few days later, Shiemi officially joins True Cross Academy, so Rin plans to ask her out, and it goes horribly wrong.
I got to thinking, and
Hold on! I was gonna ask if...
I thought I'd ask Yukio to go with me.
Ouch! Turns out, Shiemi wants to go with Yukio because he seems stressed, and the dance will be a good chance for him to cool off. But all it does is upset poor Rin, because Yukio comes up with an excuse to not go with her. Shura teases him about it, and after he leaves, she confronts Mephisto, who is spying on them. Once again, Mephisto warns her to not interfere with his plans. Anyway, Shiemi decides to cosplay as a monster for the festival, since she's not going to the dance. She actively denies the idea that Rin wanted to go with her to the dance because he likes her. Meanwhile, Rin decides he'll open a food stall for the festival. He's giving up on the chance. The festival then starts and everyone does their bit. Rin and Godain's stall is gonna need a cashier though, so he asks Izumo. Izumo eventually agrees, and it looks like she might like Rin. Later, Godain tells Rin to enjoy the festival, and he runs into Shiemi. He asks her to go to the dance with him, and she realizes he likes her. They then go grab Yukio, and the 3 of them dance together. It's a beautiful scene, and Shiemi finally admits her feelings for Rin.
I love you.
Meanwhile, Izumo is about to go to Rin's stall when Takara stops her and shows her the doll of someone called Tsukumo Kamiki. And Izumo is furious. Episode 4 starts with Lightning and Arthur interrogating one of the Illuminati spies. He tells them that the Illuminati are after Izumo. They're gonna kidnap her. We then see Izumo trying to get away from Takara using her familiars, but he summons a giant robot that absolutely destroys them. Luckily, Renzo shows up to save her and summons a high-level familiar named Yamantaka. Renzo protects Izumo from the robot and other summons, pushing Takara back and stabbing him with a spear that does no physical damage, just knocks them out. But Takara gets back up. He is not normal. Izumo says she'll go get help, and that's when Renzo does this.
You're staying.
Turns out Renzo is an Illuminati spy. What? He's here to get Izumo to the Illuminati, who arrive at that moment. But instead of leaving, they stay, which feels even more ominous. Rin and the others show up, and that's when some blinding lights appear. Mephisto arrives too, and is greeted by the commander of the Illuminati, and Mephisto's older brother, the mask-wearing Lucifer, King of Light. He declares war on the Knights of the True Cross, saying they'll revive hella demons a year from now, including Satan, and merge Gehenna and Astir as one. He offers Mephisto a chance to join them, but he refuses. Mephisto quite likes humans and the way they operate, so Lucifer accepts it and tells them to prepare for war. He collapses as he leaves and has to be helped up, but Mephisto warns everyone not to take him lightly. Lucifer is the most powerful demon in Gehenna. Rin tries attacking but gets stopped by Renzo. Nobody can believe his betrayal, but they better, because he gets in the Illuminati helicopter and flies off. After they leave, Lucifer's seraphims blow up the Japan branch's barriers, as well as the barriers for branches all over the world. Mid-level demons start infiltrating, so Mephisto sends them on a mission to retrieve Izumo. He sends Takara with them. Apparently, he's as skilled as a senior exorcist first class and is working for Mephisto, which means Mephisto knew the Illuminati were coming for Izumo. Mephisto calls Renzo a traitor, but Rin refuses to believe that. He's bringing him and Izumo back. The next episode starts with Izumo having a dream about her past. She hates her mom and says she'll do anything to protect Tsukumo, who's revealed to be her little sister. She then wakes up in a hospital. In a nearby room, Renzo wakes up and is reminded that Yamantaka is the only reason he's useful to the Illuminati. He then says he should be the one to question Izumo, which is not a good idea if you ask me. We then see the good guys gearing up for their mission. They're going to Shimane, and it's clear everyone is super disturbed by the whole Renzo thing. But Shiemi calms them all down, and they make it to Shimane, where Rin decides to cheer Bon up by kicking him.
Cheer up, Suguro! Quit being so gloomy! Can't save a friend with that attitude!
Great idea, buddy. Surprisingly, it works. Bon blows off some steam and is back to normal. Well, as normal as Bon can be. We then see Renzo visit Izumo before the higher-ups show up with her mom. She's in a terrible state, and that's when the scientist, Gedoin, walks in. Apparently, Izumo was becoming an exorcist so she could replace her mom as part of some super-secret demon experiment, but their science has advanced, so they don't need her to be an exorcist. And if Izumo won't do it, they'll make Tsukumo do it. Izumo folds, and the other Illuminati leave while Renzo stays with her. Meanwhile, an injured Shura confronts Mephisto about his schemes, but she's too weak to do anything about it. That's when Yukio phones in. They've reached Inari in Shimane. After digging into some food, Yukio does some investigating and finds out that everyone wants to move into this apartment complex called Peace Town Inari. Konekomaru found out about the Inari Light Foundation, which sounds a lot like Illuminati. That's when Takara shows up and summons Izumo's familiar for answers. Meanwhile, Renzo tells Izumo he's been with the Illuminati since before he joined the academy. Why? Because he was sick of his responsibilities and the Miyoda lifestyle. Izumo slaps him, calling him a traitor, but Renzo says they're the same, cause nobody knows the truth about Izumo either, and she silently agrees. Meanwhile, Izumo's familiar finally explains Izumo's backstory. Episode 6 shows us how we got here. You see, the Kamiki family was a branch of the Inami family and were guardians of the Inari Taisha Shrine. The 64th head priestess of the shrine was Izumo's mom, Tamomo Kamiki. She was the lazy woman who had familiars do all of her work, but she was a damn good priest. Their father was chief priest of the Inami family, Soji, but since Izumo and Tsukumo were illegitimate children, he was never around. Deadbeat asshole. Anyway, the job of the head priestess was to look over the nine-tailed fox hidden in the Killing Stone. Hey, not now, Naruto. To do this, they did a dance to temporarily let the nine tails possess them, and Tamamo was the goat of this dance. Still, as bastard kids, Izumo and Tsukumo had a tough childhood. One day, Gedoin, the blonde Maria Yoshida, and the Illuminati approached Izumo. She refused their offers to study the nine-tailed fox, but Maria left her card. Later, Tamamo finally met Soji, who said he wanted to help the Inari Light Foundation turn their shrine into a tourist attraction. He also said he wants nothing to do with his daughters, and that he'd be done with Tamamo if she ever brought it up again. Damn! After that, Tamamo grew resentful to her daughters. She blamed them for her failed relationship with Soji, and this bled into her priestess duties. Her bad mental state led her to being possessed by the Ninetails and going on a killing spree, killing Soji and a bunch of other people. The familiars helped Izumo get away, and she called Maria. The Illuminati showed up and took Tamamo in, promising to help her. Instead, they conducted experiments on her and planned to transfer the Ninetails to one of her daughters when she couldn't take it anymore. Jesus Christ, I need a break. When did this show get so dark? Luckily, Maria had a conscience. She helped Tsukumo escape and gave her up for adoption, and said she'd help Izumo escape too. Unfortunately, Gedoin and his men caught her and injected her with a drug in front of Izumo. The drug would either grant her immortality or kill her, and it was option B. Gedoin then revealed that the drug was extracted from Tamamo and that Izumo would replace her one day. If she refused, they'd use Tsukumo. Izumo agreed and vowed to get strong, never rely on anyone again, and take revenge on all of them. Ugh, yeah, I need a drink after that, damn. The next episode starts with Rin and the others learning that the Illuminati's lab is actually underground. Speaking of the lab, Izumo is taken for some experiments, but she's not giving up that easily. She manages to break free and summons her familiars, one of which was talking to her friends. But Izumo says she won't go with them. She'll just find Tsukumo and protect her. I get the motivation, but it's not very practical. Meanwhile, Rin and the others make their way to Peace Town Inari, and they break into the lab underneath it. Inside, Rin and the others find an empty shopping mall, which is always spooky. As they look for an entrance to the lab, Izumo tries making her escape, but she's stopped by Renzo and Yamantaka. Meanwhile, Gedoin unleashes immortal zombies on Rin and his friends, and is enjoying the show, until he realizes Rin and Yukio are Satan's kids. So he opens the floor beneath everyone, sending them falling through some huge pipes. When Kuro gets left behind, Izumo tries taking on Renzo without her familiars, since Yamantaka can do serious damage to demons. Unfortunately, her familiars don't listen, and they both get slimed right in front of her. Izumo mourns their deaths. They were like brothers to her, and Renzo doesn't care. Yeah, that checks out. Izumo is recaptured and taken in, and Renzo passes out from the stress of summoning Yamantaka. Meanwhile, Lucifer wakes up and Gedoin has to give him a mission report. We then see that the pipes led Rin and his friends to separate places, and they're all trapped with hungry monsters. Episode 8 starts with Gedoin giving Lucifer a report on the intruders. Surprisingly, Lucifer wants to return Rin back to Mephisto instead of killing him. honor and whatnot. He does want to study Yukio though, and if Rin tries to stop that, then Rin can die. We also see that Geroin hates the leader of Lucifer's bodyguards, a funky-haired but serious woman named Homare Toro. Anyway, Lucifer is super sick, and the only way to get better is to get the Nine Tails in Izumo and continue work on making a perfect immortality elixir. Unfortunately, after this meeting, he learns that Izumo has a less than 1% chance of surviving the Nine Tails, and Gedoin doesn't want to disappoint Lucifer. His obsession can only be described as a schoolyard crush.
You have done nothing wrong. In fact, you are a hero.
So, he sicks some huge chimera zombies on Rin and his friends. He's gonna use Rin's death as his cover, which makes no sense, but whatever. Anyway, Rin and his friends are in deep doo-doo. Konekomaru manages to escape thanks to his brains and a little help from Kuro, and he sees that Yukio defeated his zombie too. Unfortunately, he then notices Renzo staring at him. Meanwhile, Shiemi and Bon both come to the same horrifying conclusion. Their chimera zombies can speak and think. Shiemi's scream scares her chimera, while Bon's zombie keeps whining about wanting to go home. That's horrifying and depressing. Bon shows it a mirror, which makes the chimera curl up and start crying. Bon then recites a prayer for it, while wondering what his purpose is if the likes of Konekomaru and Renzo don't need him anymore. He was becoming strong for their sake. Back outside, Rin and Shiemi break out of their cells, and Rin breaks Bon and Yukio out too. That's when Gedoin speaks to them, introducing himself. After sending Renzo to get Izumi for the Nine Tails transfer, he tries to get into Rin's head. It works, so he follows up by mutating his chimera zombies into huge masses of flesh. Rin and his friends are looking for a way out when they see Izumo. Rin immediately jumps to her rescue, with Renzo playing defense. But Rin smacks Renzo aside and tells Izumo to come with them, only for this idiot to refuse his help because she won't trust anyone ever again. So what is her own grand plan? Take control of the Nine Tails and kill everyone. It's ambitious, I'll give her that. Meanwhile, with the help of the now giant blob of a chimera, Renzo stabs Rin with his black flame, leaving him powerless, and the blob sucks him in. Meanwhile, through science mumbo-jumbo nobody cares about, Gedoin manages to complete the transfer of Nine Tails to Izumo, despite her low compatibility. Though her survival is another thing altogether. While Rin struggles with killing the chimera, since it's made out of humans, Izumo is doing her best to try and control the Nine Tails, and it's not going well. During her struggle with the Nine Tails, she realizes that she actually loves her friends and family. Why does it always take a near-death experience to realize that? Anyway, that's when Rin comes crashing through the roof in peak Deus Ex Machina fashion, and gives Geroin the most satisfying punch in the show.
She's a willing subject in my experiment, and here you come ruining everything!
He plans to take Izumo and run, but Gedoin drops hella zombies on him, forcing Rin to kill them to protect Izumo and Tamamo, and he hates every second of it. Episode 10 starts with Kuro and Rin's friends showing up to help, but it's useless. Izumo is far too gone, and the Nine Tails takes over her body. That's when Tamamo gets up and locks in. She performs her signature Nine Tails dance, avoiding all of the Nine Tails' attacks while Rin and his friends provide cover for her. She eventually completes the dance and takes the Nine Tails back in her body. Perfect timing, too, because she's about to die, and that means the Nine Tails will die with her. Before she passes, Izumo makes up with her mom in a gut-wrenching scene. And then, Tamamo is no more. No time to mourn, though, because Gedoin lets himself be possessed by a demon to stop everyone. And instead of crying, Izumo wants revenge. Her resolve works because her familiars come back. Turns out, Renzo had held back on them, which is why they're still alive. Izumo then starts chanting while her friends protect her, which leads to her familiars getting brand new forms, and her unleashing an awesome attack on Geroin.
Hypocrites! You're all filthy little
The bastard gets fried, but he's still alive. That's when Renzo grabs Geroin and escapes. Before he leaves, Bon asks if it's his fault Renzo betrayed them, but Renzo says no. He's doing this for himself. After he leaves, the Myoda sect arrives as backup, and the day is saved. When Izumo wakes up, Takara explains that Maria made a deal with True Cross to hide Tsukumo, and gives her a key to visit Tsukumo whenever she wants. Mephisto had her name changed and she was adopted into a rich family, so she's safe. Finally, after so many years, Izumo can finally meet her baby sister.
Who are you?
Who has no idea who Izumo is? Izumo is in a state of shock, but she accepts this pretty quickly. She gives Tsukumo her doll back and says goodbye. She goes back to the hospital, where she immediately starts ranting about how heartbreaking her life is to Shiemi, before getting mad at her for no reason. But Shiemi just cries tears of joy. After all, Izumo never shares her feelings, so no matter what she's sharing, Shiemi is happy with that. And then they both cry. Then the guys are caught eavesdropping, so Izumo whips their butts. Later, after visiting her mom's grave, Izumo and her friends head back home. She's at least got the closure that she needed. The next episode kicks off with Juzo and Kinzo dropping a bomb on Bon and his friends. Renzo is working as a spy for them. He's a triple agent. Turns out, Mephisto planted him as a spy in the Illuminati before he joined the True Cross Academy, since it would put him above any suspicion, and it worked. It's an explanation for his actions, but Bon is still worried about his friend. Meanwhile, Renzo brings Geroin to Lucifer. Geroin thinks he's getting his moment with Lucifer, until... The next day, Rin shows up to school cosplaying as Renzo, trying to cheer everybody up, but it doesn't work. And that's when this happens.
What up, party people? It's time to get down! Shima's in the hizzy! Is Teach running late? Good, cause so was I.
Renzo is back. Bon hugs him before beating the snot out of him for his lame explanation. Everyone follows suit, even Shiemi gives him a good smack. That's when Mephisto shows up and takes them all to his office, where they have a meeting with Lightning. Turns out, the Illuminati sent Renzo back to spy on the True Cross, not knowing it's the other way around. So now he's
Lord Fellus's spy.
Lightning wants to know if he can trust Renzo, so he asks his classmates. But Rin diverts the conversation to Mephisto. The only reason anyone wouldn't trust Renzo is because of him. Izumo backs him up on this, saying he never told her about the whole Tsukumo thing, and Yukio says he probably knew Todo was gonna steal the left eye of the impure king. Mephisto admits to all of this, saying he has to control every one of them like a chess piece, and if they don't like it, they should do something about it. His goofiness sometimes makes me forget how scary he can be. Lightning calms the situation and asks everyone if they trust Renzo, and every one of them says yes. So, Lightning leaves, and Mephisto sends everyone except Yukio and Renzo away. Renzo and Yukio then leave too, but Renzo says he knows that Yukio met Lucifer. What? The last episode of Season 3 starts with Renzo telling Yukio he knows he met Lucifer in the cell he was in, and that if he wants to be saved, Lucifer is ready to meet him. What the hell is happening here? While Renzo's friends realize they can never go back to the way they were, we see what happened. After Yukio defeated his chimera, Lucifer showed up. He said he knew the secrets behind Yukio's birth and the secret of his eyes. He offered to unlock Yukio's potential if he joined the Illuminati. Yukio refused, but Lucifer left the offer on the table. Yukio tells Renzo to tell Lucifer it's a no, but it's clear he's struggling with the implications of what Lucifer said. The next day, Renzo and Bon meet on their morning runs. Renzo explains that being a spy is what makes him happy, and Bon accepts it, but he can never trust Renzo again. Renzo then reports to the Illuminati that he has everyone's trust back, and he's having a lot of fun. The next day, Yukio thinks about talking to someone about his powers and visits Shura in the hospital, but decides against saying anything. He then gives her tickets to a spa. Mephisto is paying for everyone to go, and Shura makes sure to drag Yukio along too. When the girls relax, Yukio asks Konekomaru if he still trusts Renzo, and he says that he does. Renzo then shows up, and he and Rin start fighting over who gets to ride a water slide with Shiemi. Turns out, some demons called the Three Wise Monkeys are possessing them, and their power is to make everyone they possess reveal their secrets. Yukio is scared, since he doesn't want his stuff getting out, but Bon gets rid of them and the day is saved. But Rin and Renzo still get whooped by Shura. After that, Rin asks Yukio what's bothering him, but once again, Yukio refuses to share with his brother, as Mephisto watches everything from above. Season 4 kicks off with a meeting of the Knights of the True Cross's higher-ups. Mephisto reports on the whole zombie lab thing and says that they're gonna release the Demon Eaters. They're humans who let demons possess them and then take control of them, like Toro. Arthur doesn't trust him, but they conclude that the Illuminati hasn't been able to create a suitable vessel for Satan's resurrection yet, which is good news. Still, with all of the demons popping up because of the gate in Russia, they need to act fast. We then cut to Rin and his friends, who learn from Yukio that the exorcist exams have been moved up a week. After class, Shiemi asks Rin what's wrong with Yukio, but Rin just tells her he won't talk about it. After that, Rin and the others hear Mephisto announce that they need more exorcists, so the exorcist exams are gonna be in just 45 days. During the meetings, some hobgoblins attack. Luckily, Lightning is there to clear them up. He'll be a teacher starting today, and Bon is amazed at how he can summon and control demons without any long chance. Of course, he's teaching Rin's class, but a lot of other students show up too, until they realize Lightning is completely unserious and bail on the class. Anyway, Lightning has Bon and Rin help him clean up his office, and Bon talks about how, with his family splitting up, he's lost his ambition and needs to find a new one. And Lightning laughs in his face. Asshole. Lightning says he has no ambition or tragic backstory. He just likes the world and he likes demons. Bon is so impressed, he immediately asks to be Lightning's apprentice. Lightning refuses, unless Bon gives him the Kurikara sword. And Rin's reaction is hilarious.
You must be out of your freaking mind!
I'm guessing you're not willing to sacrifice yourself for a friend? That's so cold. You must be the son of Satan or something.
I am Satan's son!
I see. That's a damn shame.
After that, Lightning traps Rin in a box and tests Bon. Bon thinks he failed the test, but Lightning just wanted to know what kind of guy he is and takes him on as his apprentice. He then immediately starts abusing his power, so Rin knocks him out and they head home. I love Lightning already. The next episode starts with Lightning and Shura talking. Lightning says that Shura uses a Naga as her familiar, and that upper-level Naga are immortal. Since the Demon Eaters are out, he wants to know if she knows any immortal Naga, but Shura says she doesn't. Meanwhile, it looks like Yukio's finally accepted his true feelings. He wants to be stronger than Rin. To do this, he needs to unlock the power in his eyes. and for that, he needs to put himself in a life or death situation. Unfortunately, the situation he does put himself in has a failsafe, so he doesn't get to unlock his powers, and it looks like someone's spying on him. Meanwhile, Rin, Konekomaru, and Renzo are studying after school. Konekomaru mentions his idea for an app that will help identify and take down demons, and the boys are super supportive. Bon then shows up without his blonde mohawk and explains how he has a man crush on Lightning. He has everything Bon lacks. People have been serving Bon his whole life, so he wants to see what serving someone else is like, and his friends support it. Meanwhile, Yukio decides the best way to scare himself is to jump off a building with no protection and hope the powers in his eyes save him? It's not a great plan. Anyway, Rin and Shiemi go on a routine exorcism mission together, which goes south when they both slip through a hole in the floor and end up under some rubble. Rin's leg is impaled, and he can't move it without crashing everything down, so they're both kinda stuck here. It's not all bad though. They chat a bit, and Rin accidentally blurts out his feelings towards her. Turns out, Shiemi's "I love you" some time ago was just a platonic one, because she's super embarrassed. She says she doesn't have feelings for him or Yukio, and that's when demons surround them, and Rin low-key obliterates the house just to get them free. Now, things are super awkward between them. That's when Rin gets a call. Meanwhile, Yukio wakes up unharmed and in a crater surrounded by blue flames. Yukio is confused and decides to shoot himself in the head until he gets a call too. Whew! Episode 3 opens with Shura having a flashback to when she was a kid, standing in Aomori Prefecture with Fujimoto. Fast forward to the present, and Shura is there again, which is a problem because of the whole Illuminati thing. So Mephisto sends Rin and Yukio to bring her back. He also tells Yukio to calm down on the life-threatening training. This guy knows everything! Anyway, after making it to Aomori, the brothers settle in at an inn, where Rin tells him about the whole Shiemi thing, and then once again tells Yukio that he can talk to his brother if he's going through something. And once again, Yukio says he's fine. The next day, the lady running the inn tells the brothers that Shura actually stayed here too. We then see Shura facing the demon she's in a pact with, the dragon god Hachirotaro Okami. Turns out, Shura needs to bear a child for Hachiro. It's a blood pact, and he'll steal her sword if she doesn't. But Shura refuses, and they fight. Hachiro leaves her bloody and passed out, but lets her live. She's then rescued by Yukio and Rin, and she explains the story. See, she isn't the one who made the blood pact with Hachiro. It was her ancestor, Tatsuko Kirigakure. Turns out, Tatsuko tried to escape her village to start her own school, but the Iga ninjas wouldn't let her go. They chased her, and she stumbled upon Hachiro. They fought, and Tatsuko lost. She begged for her life, so Hachiro took her into his service. The deal was simple. She'll die at the age of 30 and bear a child that will take her place. That child would do the same, and the cycle would repeat. He then gave her the chest tattoo Shura has, and placed the sword Shura uses inside it. Since then, every child of the Kirigakure bloodline looks like Tatsuko, bears a child, and dies at 30. But Shura refuses to go through with the pact and says she'll die at 30 with no regrets. But Rin is having none of it, saying he'll find a way to get rid of the pact. Later, Mephisto tells the boys backup is on its way, when Rin senses something evil. And when they check, Shura is missing. Episode 4 shows us Shura's backstory. After her mom died, she was raised and trained by Hachiro, who was less than an ideal parent. For fun, Shura used to terrorize the nearby village, till she was caught by Fujimoto. Fujimoto fought and beat Hachiro. Badass! But Hachiro is immortal, so he decided to let Shura go with him and come back with her child. Turns out, Fujimoto was the one who gave her the name Shura. In the present, she wakes up in front of Hachiro, and we get some clarity. Turns out, the reason he's doing this is because he loved Tatsuko, and he'll do anything to try and preserve the woman he loves. Shura gives him a reality check, so he controls her with his eyes. That's his secret power. Rin and Yukio show up, so Hachiro holds Rin off while holding down Yukio so he can give Shura his seed. Yeah. Luckily, Rin breaks free and faces him head on. Unfortunately, there's no way to take him down, so Yukio decides to make him a deal. He asks Hachiro to transfer Shura's powers and pact to him. In exchange, he'll make sure she bears a child and will kill her after she does. Hell, he'll even make sure his generations do the same. That way, Hachiro will always be with Tatsuko, and Yukio will have the power he's been chasing. Yukio needs a way to convince Hachiro, so he shoots Rin. Hachiro agrees, removes the pact from Shura, and starts putting it on Yukio, only to find out it was a trap. Yukio shot Rin with fake bullets, and he absolutely blasts Hachiro. It looks like it's over, but that's not how immortality works. Hachiro gets back up and snatches Shura up, transforming into a giant hydra. Rin tries his best to stop Hachiro, and even Renzo shows up to help, but it's no use. Meanwhile, Hachiro admits that he wants to die, but he can't, so Shura says she'll go with him to the bottom of the lake, where they'll both sleep forever. Hachiro agrees and slithers his way to the bottom of the frozen lake. Shura accepts this as her way of going out as the episode ends. No. The next episode starts with Shura thinking back to her past. She grew up with Fujimoto for a bit, and she was totally smitten with him. Eventually, Fujimoto had to let her go, and she dealt with the abandonment by being promiscuous. One day, she tried to approach Fujimoto, but he just shut her down and told her to make the most of the life she had left. Now, Shura wonders if it's okay for her to live, when Rin starts attacking Hachiro. Rin is using the same techniques Shura taught him, and it inspires her to live again. Unfortunately, Hachiro isn't letting that happen. He grabs Shura, giving her a sick bob in the process, and comes out of the water. Yukio cooks up a plan with Renzo to save Shura, but ends up getting trapped. Hachiro's about to kill him, so Shura breaks free from his clutches and saves Yukio.
What?
Rin then burns Hachiro away. Good riddance. Hachiro's still alive, but in the form of a small snake without his senses. Shura says they should let him go. It'll be a long time before he regenerates to what he was before, so they do. Morning comes and Shura hugs the brothers, thanking them for everything, and wondering if Fujimoto knew they would turn out like this. Backup arrives, and everything is going smoothly, except for Yukio. Not only is he injured, but Renzo makes it clear he's keeping tabs on Yukio for Mephisto and the Illuminati. Overwhelmed with stress, Yukio passes out. He wakes up in the hospital, where Rin tells him he'll be out of the field for 2 months and should focus on recovery. Shura is worried about Yukio, but decides to stay quiet about it. And now, it's clear Yukio is at his breaking point. The next episode starts with Mephisto and Shura talking. Mephisto tells her that, unfortunately, the Illuminati captured Hachiro. Shura knows that this is all somehow part of Mephisto's plans for Rin and Yukio, and threatens him. She won't let anything happen to those boys. Meanwhile, Lightning takes Bond to the Japan HQ's library, where he says that the whole Illuminati thing, Mephisto's plans, and Rin and Yukio's births all have something to do with the Blue Knight. He doesn't know what though, but but Mephisto probably does, and Lightning is hellbent on finding out. Renzo makes sure Lightning knows he's being watched, and Lightning reveals he's keeping tabs on Renzo too, in a friendly kind of way. We then see Rin and his friends meeting Yukio, who's much better now. After they all leave, it's suddenly just Rin and Shiemi. They're alone for the first time since the whole confession thing. And that's when Shiemi confesses too.
I like you too!
So then...
But, how exactly can you tell the difference between friendship and romance?
As you can see though, she doesn't really know what romance is, and Rin isn't exactly a ladies' man either. So Izumo steps in to the rescue. She saves Shiemi from an awkward situation, invites herself to Shiemi's house for a sleepover, and makes her read a complex romance manga to make sure she understands what romance is. She even talks to Shiemi's mom and convinces her to let Shiemi be an exorcist. Izumo is going all out for Shiemi. You gotta love character development. After reading the manga and having a dream about the situation, Shiemi realizes that she can't be in a relationship right now. She's too far behind her classmates. She tells this to Rin, who's pretty bummed out, and that's when a Maimon shows up? Apparently, he's transferring in as a student and tries to mess with Rin and Shiemi, but Rin shuts that down immediately. He then thanks Shiemi for being honest and says they'll still be friends. After school, Bon tells Lightning about the whole Maimon thing, and they go to a very special place to investigate, the Southern Cross Boys Monastery, where the Okumura brothers grew up. The following episode starts with Bon and Lightning interviewing the people at Southern Cross Monastery, and Lightning's not super impressed with their answers. He gets a bit rough with one guy, Bon jumps in, and eventually the man starts talking about Section 13 and the elixir, when Death shows up and kills him. Turns out, the poor dude signed a Morinoth contract to remain silent, and that's what happens when you break one. Still, Lightning says Death is Mephisto's kin, whatever that means, and confronts him about the whole thing, threatening to expose him. So, Mephisto gives him a clue for his investigation. While Shiemi talks with her mom about taking the exorcist exam, Bon and Lightning follow Mephisto's instructions and, through magic and teleportation, end up at the old cram school, also known as the Asylum. Fujimoto and the Paladin Arthur came from here, and it's one messed up place. As Bon and Lightning investigate, they realize that all the good stuff about this place was a front. In reality, it was hiding a secret lab called Section 13. At Section 13, not only were they doing research on making immortality elixirs, but they were mass producing, in the most sick way possible, vessels for the Baal, aka Satan's sons. The vessels start bursting out and attacking them, so Mephisto teleports them back to his place. Mephisto then drops some lore. You see, the Baal used to exist as concepts before humanity were around, but as humanity progressed, the Baal gained physical bodies too. They indulged in their, 5 senses, but there was a problem. You see, their bodies deteriorated too fast. Mephisto gets away with it because he can control time, but usually, the stronger the demon, the less time he has. Lucifer had it worse. His physical body had just 10 years. This made Lucifer so mad he planned to blow up the planet. Luckily, Mephisto convinced him to hold off for a bit, and started the vessel production in Section 13. When that failed, he moved on to elixir production. He managed to make a vessel for a Maimon, but couldn't get one for Lucifer. But you know who did end up in one of the vessels? Satan. That's how the Blue Night happened. After that, Mephisto got rid of the place, but Lucifer took over the elixir research and is still doing that to this day. Damn! With that info, Lightning and Bon leave and see Arthur. And that's when Lightning remembers that Arthur is from the asylum, which means he was born as a vessel. Arthur doesn't remember anything from before the Blue Night. He has amnesia, according to Mephisto, but I'm not buying it. After confirming himself that Arthur doesn't remember anything, Lightning takes Bon to the desert and the shrine of the Grigori Azazel, which is shocking, because Azazel is supposed to be one of the Baal. You see, besides the Baal, there were other powerful demons in Gehenna as well. The Emperor of Creation, Shemihaza, and the Emperor of Nothingness, Arumahel, aka the Twin Stars. Azazel, who was a Baal, sided with the Twin Stars and helped humanity. It was their descendants, the Nephilim, that created the true cross. Lightning then takes Bon to show him Azazel, and
That there's the real Azazel.
yeah. Instead of looking for another vessel, Azazel and the Emperors chose to die organically. Azazel used to be able to talk when Lightning first met him, but he's more of a statue these days. Section 13 probably extracted his cells to make vessels, and Lightning wonders if Azazel was okay with that. The next day at school, Shiemi drops a bombshell. She's not gonna be an exorcist. She's dropping out of cram school too, but still wants to be friends with everyone. Rin really wants to ask why, but his friends stop him. Instead, they all plan a joint Christmas birthday party for everyone. They split up into teams to do so. While Renzo crushes over Izumo, Yukio and Bon are together. Later, Bon investigates documents and realizes two things. One, that Fujimoto was a vessel of Azazel, and two, all the info on a vessel named Goro are missing. Which means that's the one Satan took control of. Lightning says he'll look into it and tells him to cool off for a while, so Bon goes and prepares for the party with his friends. There, Yukio thinks about the time he asked Fujimoto about his and Rin's real parents. Fujimoto just said that he found the two under a bridge on December 27th, but Yukio knew he was lying, and now he's determined to find out the truth. The next day, Shiemi shows up to the party, only for Ni to drop the tree and absolutely wreck everything. Still, they manage to salvage it and end up having a great party. After the party, Shiemi gives everyone 4-leaf clover charms and says she can't tell them why she's quitting, but says she'll support them all from her mom's shop. After the party, Shura gives the Okumura brothers a present. She tells them a story about their mom, Yuri Egin. Apparently, Fujimoto took Shura to her when he first rescued her. Yuri cleaned up Shura and fed her. Fujimoto asked Yuri to take Shura in, but Shura wasn't having that. Shura describes her as kind, strong, and beautiful. Later that night, Yukio says he's not satisfied with her story. He wants to know more. Rin says he's okay with things as they are, and Yukio calls him a coward for it. Oh boy. The next episode starts with Rin and his friends traveling to Bon's home for Juzo and Mamushi's wedding. There, they meet some more of Renzo's siblings. There's his older brother Gozo, as well as his older sister Jun, and Yumi, who has a thing for Konekomaru. Anyway, as everyone prepares for the wedding, Rin thinks about his last fight with Yukio. When Rin disagreed with him, Yukio ended up laughing like a maniac, saying he and Rin have never thought alike, and went back to bed. He's been super fake ever since. Later, while Bon discusses the case with Lightning on the phone, Renzo and Konekomaru have a call about how they envy each other's lives. That's when Juzo shows up for his bachelor party, which is apparently sparring with and beating the hell out of Renzo. The next day is New Year's Eve, and they all go out to celebrate. But Rin is worried about Yukio, and he shares this with Shiemi. After that, the time for the wedding is here. While everyone gets ready, Gozo talks to Tatsuma about getting Karuta back. Apparently, it's bonded well with Todo, so even if they exorcise him, it might not be perfect. Meanwhile, Yukio asks Bon about his and Lightning's investigation, and asks him if he knows something about Fujimoto. Speaking of Lightning, he tracks down and bullies Dr. Dragulescu, who worked at Section 13. He claims the doctor has links with the Illuminati, and after seeing a mark on his neck, confirms his suspicions. Meanwhile, Bon says he can't tell Yukio anything, and Yukio says he understands. After that, they perform the wedding ceremony, and it's really beautiful. Bon then gets a call from Lightning about some work when he's suddenly held at gunpoint by Yukio.
Sorry for this.
He tells Bon to spill the beans, but Bon asks if he's actually gonna pull the trigger. Yukio realizes he's being an asshole, apologizes, and walks away. Renzo tells him to calm down, but Yukio just laughs him off. That's when Shura calls Yukio. Demons are attacking, and they need backup. Episode 10 sees Yukio go on ahead, while Renzo dips because of his spy duties. While everyone else heads back on the train, Bon says he has to tell Rin something, but not right now. Meanwhile, Lightning helps Shura take down a Cyclops by placing an ice demon in her sword. Cool stuff! After that, the Arc Knight Osceola Red Arm shows up to arrest Lightning. Apparently, Dr. Dragulescu reported him for the attack, so Lightning's ass gets hauled off to court, right as Bond and his friends show up. Before he leaves, Lightning tells Yukio something random about sushi and then whispers something else. Keep that in mind. While Rin and his friends have dinner, Yukio is on the front lines talking about demons. When he gets a break, he realizes Lightning snuck a USB drive into his pocket. Using it, Yukio finds out about Fujimoto being an Azazel vessel. But he doesn't learn anything about Satan or his mother, so he gets mad, goes on a reckless rampage, and gets sent home. But Yukio doesn't want to go home. So, just like after a fight he had with Fujimoto years ago, Yukio ends up in front of Shiemi's home. He remembers how Shiemi joined him in the rain, and they talked. Shiemi cheered him up, so Yukio's back here. Shiemi invites him inside and makes them some tea. They talk, and Yukio suddenly hugs her, saying he's all alone with no real friends or family. Shiemi says that's not true. She's his friend, and Rin is his family. And Yukio sorta crashes out.
I'm your friend, Yuki. And Rin, he's been so worried about you.
Well, who asked him to?
Yukio then realizes what he's done and just takes off, and poor Shiemi just cries. Meanwhile, Yukio decides he's had enough, drops to his knees, and shoots himself in the head, only for the bullet to be stopped by blue flames. Turns out, Satan stopped the bullet through Yukio. He's not done with him just yet. Renzo sees the whole thing and tells Yukio he's not looking too good. Later, Bon is about to tell Rin and Yukio when Shiemi bursts in, also crying about Yukio. Episode 11 starts with Osceola telling Lightning that he has to go out. Demons are attacking all over the world and everyone's fighting. This includes Arthur, who's protecting the Gehenna Gate in Russia. Meanwhile, Mephisto explains the demon situation to the Prime Minister and says that soon more people will be able to see demons, which will make them a bit more dangerous. And if he wants to combat that, he'll have to beef up his anti-demon measures. Back with Rin, Bon fills him in on Yukio's shenanigans. Shiemi does the same, so Rin grabs his sword and heads out to find his brother. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister of Japan announces that demons are real to the public, while Yukio confronts Mephisto and asks him for the truth. But Mephisto refuses to tell him and heads out to address the people. Yukio is super mad, so he pulls a gun on Mephisto, who gets shot in the head. What's more, it looks like Mephisto took actual damage from the bullet, and Yukio gets restrained, which Rin sees on TV. Now injured, Mephisto has to choose between dying and keeping up the barrier around Gehenna Gate. And since he's not looking to die anytime soon, he lets go of the barrier. Arthur sees this happen in real time as the Gehenna Gate expands and surrounds the entire world. Meanwhile, Shura is with some police officers and Yukio. Turns out, Yukio didn't shoot Mephisto. Even the angle of Mephisto's injury proves that. Shura is about to get mad at Yukio when she sees his fiery blue eye. Later, Rin sees Shura in a truck and knows Yukio is inside, but Shura whispers something to him before saying he needs to go home. Damn. Shura drives off and Rin delivers the bad news to his friends. Yukio has the power of Satan too, and he's gonna be tested for it. He's gonna be gone for a long time. But Rin's not gonna stand for that nonsense, so he says he's gonna find Yukio. Once Rin's friends realize he's not gonna back down, they decide to help him. Meanwhile, Shura tries to get Yukio to talk, but he's not budging. This guy's stubborn as hell. Now trapped, Yukio knows what comes next. Interrogation, experiments, and execution. Satan offers to help, but Yukio refuses. After all, ever since he was a kid, all he's ever had to do is wait when he's in a bad spot, because Rin will save him. Right on cue, Rin breaks down his door.
Yukio, I'm here to bust you out!
With Emaimon's help, Rin and his friends are busting Yukio out. The last episode of Season 4 starts with Yukio and Rin running to the roof. Rin has a whole plan to escape, but Yukio turns him down. That's when an Illuminati helicopter shows up. It looks like Yukio is switching sides. Before he goes, Yukio tells Rin about Fujimoto being a vessel and says that he's done with this place. Rin tries to stop him, so Yukio casually shoots his brother. But that's not enough to take down Rin, who's furious now. Rin tries attacking, but Satan's power stops him and breaks the Kurikara sword. That sword was keeping Rin's demon heart in Gehenna. Now that it's broken, his heart returns, and Rin starts feeling the full force of Satan's power. Satan talks through Yukio's eye, saying that if Rin can control the flames, he'll become Satan's vessel. Yukio then leaves with Renzo, saying he'll become stronger than Rin. Meanwhile, blue flames burst out of Rin as he struggles to control them. His body turns to coal, and it looks like he's dead, until he revives in a huge burst of flames. And with that white hair and blue eyes, he's totally Gojo-coded, unfortunately. This power has turned him into a power-hungry monster, who wants to burn everything. Shiemi uses Ni to hold Rin's flame off and asks him where the real Rin is. We then see Rin inside his mind, confronting this evil self. It's a very Bleach-inspired moment, and Rin takes back control of his body from his evil self, who says he'll be waiting for his chance. Rin then passes out and wakes up at Mephisto's place. He demands to know the truth about his parents, as well as how he and Yukio were born. Luckily, Rin has always had the Kamikakushi key, which lets the user go anywhere, even the past. Ain't that convenient? Anyway, Rin uses it to head into the past, and Mephisto says all the pieces are in place. This guy really loves playing both sides. Season 5 starts with Rin stepping into the past and seeing a young Fujimoto, who freaks out when he sees Rin and runs away. The Mephisto of the past then shows up, but since he's the king of time, he just knows everything already. Sure, I guess. Then, they go to the slums of True Cross, where they see a young Yuri. She was an orphan who was taken in by a former exorcist, the jolly old man Okumura, and the crazy old granny Obaba. as well as a woman named Nico. One day, while Yuri was playing, a blue flame burst up one of her toys. It was Satan. Turns out, Satan hadn't developed an ego yet, and this was the first ever intelligent human interaction he had, playing with Yuri. After that, they jump forward and see that Nico, Obaba, and Oku all died in a huge fire, leaving Yuri all alone. She struggled to fend for herself and was on the brink of freezing and starving to death when she found a secret hideout. She ate up the food inside, apologizing to whoever it belonged to, before crawling into bed and falling asleep. She woke up to the owner coming back, and wouldn't you know it? It was Fujimoto. Fujimoto asked her to get out, but Yuri convinced him to let her stay. As they sat by a fire, people from the asylum found Fujimoto's hideout, and since Yuri could see their demons, they took her in as well. At this point, Rin appreciates having Yukio as a brother and having Fujimoto as a parent, something Yuri never had. Anyway, they make their way to the cram school where Fujimoto was taken away. Meanwhile, Yuri learned that her real mom was dead and her dad was unknown, so they took her in and trained her to be an exorcist. And it looked like she was settling in pretty well. Rin then moves on and sees a young Fujimoto meeting with Mephisto. Mephisto told Fujimoto he was the only vessel to ever break out, and asked why he did that. Fujimoto explained that he was sick of Section 13 and wanted to be free. He'd rather die than stay here. He then got up in Mephisto's face and demanded to be made an X-Wire. Fujimoto said that he would make it all the way to Paladin. He believed that this was his ticket to freedom. Mephisto agreed, and once Fujimoto left, he asks Rin to join him. He then tells Rin all about Section 13, and how the asylum was just a front for it. Rin asks why, and Mephisto says it was all for Lucifer. He then takes Rin to Lucifer. The dude has certainly seen better days though. The Grigori are there too, and they all saw the scientists try and fail to produce an elixir to heal Lucifer. Mephisto asks Lucifer to let go of this body and return to Gehenna. He could come back in a new body later. But Lucifer refused, and Rin feels firsthand how much power that dude is suppressing. He is a monster among monsters. Mephisto then explains how the vessels would all be experimented on, and that almost all of them would lose their humanity. We see this when Fujimoto tried talking to Goro, who couldn't even speak normally anymore. Rin can't take it anymore, so he moves forward. He then sees Fujimoto and some X-Wires on a mission, with Yuri and her friends as backup. Yuri tried talking to Fujimoto since it'd been 5 years since they last met, but Fujimoto was uninterested. Anyway, they faced a huge tree demon, and Fujimoto surprised everyone by charging in, giving everyone an opening to attack before blowing the tree to high heaven. After the fight, Yuri was with some tiny tree demons that looked a lot like me, and tried talking to Fujimoto again. But Fujimoto just shot the demons, saying exorcists are supposed to kill demons. Yuri disagreed, saying their job is to save humans from demons. Fujimoto got all mad and walked away, and Rin notices Satan's flames in the background. Satan was watching. The next episode shows us more of Fujimoto's past. He was going through a snowstorm with his guardian, Fujimoto. Fujimoto got separated from Fujimoto and ended up fatally wounded by a demon after defeating it. Fujimoto did his best to heal him, but it was useless. Fujimoto talked about how much Fujimoto had changed, becoming kinder. And just like that, Fujimoto died, and Fujimoto took Fujimoto's glasses. Damn. Shortly after, Fujimoto was released from the asylum and was inducted as a first-class exorcist. Yuri was also inducted as a second-class exorcist, but Fujimoto was still ignoring her. Anyway, after that, Fujimoto got his own place and was completely free to do what he wanted. And he did exactly that. Smoking, drinking, being promiscuous. He did it all. But while it looked like he was having fun, Yuri thought he just looked lonely. Rin goes forward and sees a mission involving a huge golem. Fujimoto wanted to blow it up as always, but Yuri said she could calm the golem down. She was given her chance, and this badass did exactly what she said she would. She didn't even flinch. After that, she was congratulated by everyone except Fujimoto, who calls her lucky. Things escalated when Fujimoto smacked Yuri's friend Rick, and Yuri responded by slapping him and calling him weak. They got into a shouting match, and Yuri told Fujimoto he'd end up all alone if he stayed like this. The situation got diffused after Satan's flames protected Yuri from Fujimoto, and they were both carried away. Sometime later, Fujimoto approached Yuri. Yuri apologized for hitting him, and they had a conversation. Fujimoto explained his tragic upbringing, and that he only survived by being strong. So being called weak kinda pissed him off. But Yuri saw through his tough guy facade, realizing he was alone and afraid. She then kissed him and said she loves him. Isn't that a bit much for a guy you've met like 4 times? Anyway, Fujimoto was too old for her and rejected her. Yuri then saw Satan's flames, which she just thinks are friendly flames looking over her, and talked to them. Meanwhile, Rin is super embarrassed. He can hardly even watch. After that, Fujimoto decided he'd be friends with Yuri, who loved that idea. She even made him apologize to her friend for hitting him. That guy sure had a soft spot for Yuri. After that, Mephisto takes Rin to the Section 13 lab, where they see Satan possess Goro for the first time. It's only for a couple of seconds, but Mephisto explains that's because Satan didn't have an ego yet. After multiple possessions of Goro, the vessel eventually became strong enough to handle Satan, and that took 9 years. So, episode 4 starts after a 9-year time skip. They were at Rick's wedding, and Fujimoto was actually really good friends with Yuri and Rick now. The wedding was beautiful. Yuri caught the bouquet next to Fujimoto, and they talked about how they're adults now. Unfortunately, that's when Satan fully took over Goro's body. Later, one of the Grigori, Shemihaza, told Lucifer to give up on getting a vessel, but Lucifer refused. Amaimon just got his body, so he said he'd be next. Except he wasn't next. Satan was. Fujimoto was taken to see Goro and was shocked to see his friend possessed. That's when Satan went berserk and escaped. He made a beeline for Yuri. He found Yuri and managed to say her name before getting sedated by the exorcists. They took Satan and Yuri back to the lab, where they questioned Yuri until Satan woke up, broke out, and made his way to her. He was about to start killing until Yuri calmed him down.
No, don't.
She was a tamer, after all. Mephisto says they should use her to keep Satan in check, something Fujimoto is not a fan of. Oh, also, they don't know that Goro has been possessed by the Satan yet. They just know it's a demon. So Yuri was hired at Section 13, and Fujimoto hated it. Rick told Fujimoto to just make his move on her. It was obvious Fujimoto loved her. Anyway, while the others didn't know, Mephisto and a somewhat healed-up Lucifer knew that Satan was possessing Goro. Seriously, they do not show us how Lucifer suddenly got better. Anyway, Yuri started her work by teaching Satan stuff. It started off with basics, but there was a problem. Satan was learning information quickly, but he wasn't developing emotionally. He was basically a genius demon with mood swings. Yuri said Satan should meet other people to develop himself, but no one was willing to do it. Except Fujimoto, of course. Unfortunately, Satan didn't like Fujimoto for some reason. Jealousy, perhaps. and all Fujimoto did was beat Satan at a game and make fun of him. They almost got into it, but Yuri defused the situation and they left. And Satan was hell-bent on beating Fujimoto.
I'm gonna beat that guy, beat that guy, beat that guy, beat that guy.
Oh boy. To do that, Satan broke out, took a guard hostage, and demanded books. A lot of books. When Yuri showed up the next day, Satan was completely different. He killed the guard before telling Yuri to call him Lord Satan. Oh no. Satan said he was a god who transcended all human morality. He would do whatever he wanted. This broke Yuri's heart, who called him out for being a monster, and Satan lost it. He escaped in a huge burst of flames, but Fujimoto showed up to save Yuri, who was a mess. Satan escaped, gathered demons, and started laying low. The exorcists knew that Goro's body wouldn't last long with Satan in it. It'd disintegrate pretty quickly. After that, time passed quickly. Fujimoto did the Aomori mission and ended up stuck with Shura. Meanwhile, even 2 years later, Yuri never gave up on Satan, and she and Fujimoto didn't get together either, which pissed both Rick and me off. We then cut to Lucifer crashing out over not getting a new body. We then see a younger Todo being bullied by his peers, which definitely played a part in him breaking bad. That's when the place started trembling and Satan broke through the barrier. He invaded Section 13 with his demons and demanded that he be given the elixir, even though its effects were temporary. He then went to see Lucifer, who pledged his allegiance to Satan. Satan then told the scientists to continue their research, taking them and all the kids in Section 13 hostage. Mephisto tried bargaining for the kids with supplies, but Satan was having none of it. The exorcists decided to hold out on giving supplies for a month and let Satan rot away. The battle waged on, people kept dying, and no one had seen Satan in a while now. But that's not sitting right with Yuri. She decided to go in after him and make him stop this madness. Fujimoto came to stop her, and for a moment, you think they'll tell each other how they feel, but they don't. Yuri wished him good luck and headed inside Section 13. She made her way inside and tried to reason with Satan, saying she'd stay with him. Satan rejected it at first, but eventually gave in and told her to stay with him. Episode 6 starts with Rin watching on as Satan announced he was leaving Section 13. He didn't have long to live and wanted to spend it with Yuri. He told this to his children, who were furious but couldn't do anything about it. Anyway, the demons left Section 13 and Yuri and Satan got ready to leave too, but they were ambushed by the exorcists. Satan was captured and Yuri was miserable. She knows this leads to war. What's more, Mephisto announced Yuri as Satan's accomplice to the True Cross's higher-ups, as well as the fact that she was pregnant, and Rin watches the whole thing. Yuri was being protected by a cradle barrier, which protects anyone giving birth to a powerful demon's child. Fujimoto checked on Yuri and told her that Satan was still alive, albeit immobile. Fujimoto couldn't handle the fact that Yuri was giving birth to Satan's kids, so he went to get the Kurikara sword so he could kill them. When Yuri's water broke, the entire True Cross gathered to make sure nothing bad happened. Though, the best case scenario for them was for Yuri and the twins to just not survive the birth. The birth was painful, and when it finally happened, Rin was the one who was born first, and he was covered in blue flames. Rin immediately started attacking everyone, killing people left, right, and center. Rin has to face the fact that he's always been a monster, and it gives the evil version of him a chance to take control. Luckily, Mephisto controls him and sends a defeated Rin further forward, and Rin just thinks of Yuri, Fujimoto, and Yukio. who senses his brother from across time. The next episode sees Yukio and Renzo make it to the Illuminati airship in the sky. Hamare Toro takes Yukio to meet Lucifer, and Yukio makes it clear he's only here to unlock his own hidden power. Meanwhile, the world is in chaos. Demons are attacking everywhere, and everyone can see them. While the Miyoda sect springs into action, Konekomaru heads over to deliver the Kurikara sword, while Bon works on something for lightning. Izumo takes care of Shiemi and helps the clueless girl realize she's in love with Rin. Izumo then tries asking if she and Shiemi are friends, when they're interrupted by some men from the Vatican. They're called the Grigori Sedes, and they're here to take Shiemi to the Vatican. They do just that, and Izumo is stunned. Meanwhile, Bon gives Arthur Lightning's findings when Izumo calls him and tells him what happened. We then see the leader of the Grigori Sedes, Jeremiah Uzai, take Shiemi to a place she always wanted to go to, the Garden of Amahara. Turns out, Shiemi has a super mysterious past that she's forgotten, but judging by the way she's being treated like royalty and is all dolled up, you can guess she's super important. But this is all overwhelming to her. She goes to the bathroom and wonders what Rin would do, only to see him sprawled on the floor.
Or if Rin were here.
Seeing him asleep, Shiemi starts laughing. Just seeing Ren cheers her up. She then starts talking to Rin, while he's blaming himself for everything inside his head. Luckily, Shiemi's kind words get through to him, and he finds the resolve to keep going forward. He gets up after Shiemi leaves the bathroom, and leaves before she comes back, so they don't actually meet. With Rin back in the game, Mephisto and him see Satan going on a Yuri-obsessed rampage. And Mephisto says this is when the Blue Night happened. Episode 8 sees Satan go up to Lucifer, still in his delusions about Yuri. Lucifer proceeded to nuke his dad's body, and Satan started roaming around looking for a new vessel, and he goes everywhere. But everyone he tried to possess bursted into blue flames. Igor Neuhaus was one of the ones who survived, but it cost him an eye. We then see the Miyoda sect springing into action. Takezo Shima, the oldest Shima brother who used to have Yamantaka, led the women and children to Miyoda to safety. Unfortunately, Satan got to him, so in his last moments, Takezo saved Renzo. Azazel and Shemihaza staved off Satan's influence, and Shemihaza asked for Shiemi's mom to be taken to safety. Their lore grows deeper. Meanwhile, Rin was still on a rampage, while the exorcists wanted to kill Yuri before she gave birth to Yukio. But Fujimoto stopped that nonsense, and she gave birth to Yukio, who wasn't breathing. The exorcists started looking at him, but they were too rough, so Rin smited them and Yukio finally breathed. The paladin at the time tried attacking Rin, but his right arm got blown off and he was out of it. Mephisto then showed up, saying Fujimoto needed to use the Kurikara sword. Yuri was against it though. She said Rin was only doing it because he was scared, and that he'd calm down if everyone left the three of them alone. But Fujimoto refused. He drew the Kurikara sword, went toe-to-toe with demon baby Rin, and stabbed him with the sword. But all that did was seal his heart away in Gehenna, leaving a normal baby crying on the floor. Fujimoto wanted to kill him, but Mephisto said the demon will return as long as its heart is alive, so Mephisto returned Rin to Yuri. The happiness was short-lived though, because Satan showed up and possessed the paladin. Satan was all kinds of mad now, calling Yuri a traitor and demanding she come back to him. Yuri tried appealing to him with the twins, but he was having none of it. Fujimoto got in his way, and Satan said he wanted Fujimoto's body. He wanted to be the man Yuri always loved. Satan then revealed that he was responsible for the deaths of Nico, Obaba, and Okumura all those years ago, and it shocked Yuri. Satan then managed to possess Fujimoto and told Yuri to join him, but Yuri refused. Whatever Satan was doing wasn't love. Fujimoto then wrestled back control and slits his own throat. Satan tried to go after Yuri again, but eventually had to abandon Fujimoto's body. Fujimoto grew up in a lab, so he had a healing factor. Shemihaza's there too, and her spirit accelerated healing. Fujimoto's wound was healed before he stood back up. After that, Shemihaza gave it to Fujimoto straight, since he'd been possessed by Satan, and since the kids are Satan's, the three of them need to die immediately for the safety of humanity. Of course, Fujimoto rebelled, pulled a gun on Shemihaza, and escaped with Yuri and the kids. They camped out for a while before heading to one of Fujimoto's hideouts. Yuri apologized for making Fujimoto a fugitive, but Fujimoto said he was finally free now. He then said they should live together. They'll act as parents for these kids, and Yuri teared up. She loved that idea. Unfortunately, Yuri collapsed soon after. Fujimoto carried her on his back, and Fujimoto talked about all the things they'd do as a family. Unfortunately, those were just her wishes. She fell off of Fujimoto's back. Fujimoto held her as she took her last breaths. She told Rin and Yukio to be good brothers to each other, and then was about to say something to Fujimoto before she passed away. Fujimoto proceeded to have a complete mental breakdown, confessing his love to Yuri and blaming himself for everything. That's when a Yeti attacked him from behind, leaving him injured. With Yuri's body and the kids totally exposed to the Yeti, but Fujimoto said he deserved to die. He had lost the will to do anything. Episode 10 sees Fujimoto giving up. He had no will to go on, but the memory of Yuri spurred him on to fight back and save the kids from the Yeti. After he did that, Fujimoto decided that he and the kids deserved a chance at life too. Meanwhile, Rick made his way into Section 13, trying to look for Yuri as everyone else got the hell out of there. Lucifer, meanwhile, decided he was gonna blow everything up. Rick found himself protecting the vessel kids from Lucifer's explosion and got freaking evaporated. Poor guy. Luckily, Mephisto and Shemihaza showed up to stop Lucifer, turning his body into ashes. Jeremiah was there too, and seeing that one of the vessel children survived, he just smiled. Meanwhile, Dr. Dragolescu said he'd finally created the perfect vessel, and just like that, the Blue Night ended. Many people died, and the world was never the same again. In the aftermath, Yuri visited Satan in Gehenna. She tried appealing to him one last time, but Satan didn't care about her anymore. All he wanted was a body. With that, he smited Yuri. Episode 11 kicks off with Fujimoto going to see Mephisto. Some time had passed, and he was here to drop off Yukio and Rin. He knew Mephisto wanted something with them. Unfortunately, due to a promise he made to Mephisto years ago, Fujimoto was stuck. Mephisto said Satan and Lucifer would come back eventually, and it was Fujimoto's job to raise these kids to be weapons against those two. Not only that, but he made Fujimoto the Paladin. We then cut to Gehenna, where Mephisto said he'd prepare a body for Satan. He was talking about Rin. That's when Lucifer showed up, saying he'd control the remnants of Section 13 and make a perfect body for Satan. Satan said they could both go for it, and whoever succeeded would gain Satan's favor for eternity. After that, Fujimoto was sworn in as Paladin. He made sure Dragolescu knew he was being watched before Satan popped in his head and told him to watch his back. We then see that Jeremiah killed his own comrades to retrieve Lucifer's ashes. This brother is evil, and he's working with Dr. Dragolescu. With that, the Illuminati was born. Meanwhile, Mephisto gave Fujimoto the Kamikakushi key, and then told Tatsuma to look after the Kurikara sword until Rin started showing signs of Satan's power. After that, Fujimoto tried raising the boys on his own, and was on his knees in 1 week. So, remembering Yuri's words, he sought help, and sure enough, he got it. The Southern Cross Monastery was built. He was growing closer to the kids. Things were finally looking up for him. After that, we pretty much know how the boys were raised. What we don't know is that Satan kept popping in Fujimoto's head. Fujimoto was getting older, and he didn't feel like he could handle another possession, but Satan didn't want Fujimoto's body. He just wanted to spy on Rin and know the perfect time to take over his body. Then, one day, when Fujimoto slapped Rin, that was the breaking point. Satan took over his body, and we know the rest. Rin does too, so he just walks out, dropping to his knees. He asks Mephisto if he wants to turn him into Satan's vessel or a weapon against Satan. Mephisto says it's both, and says only Rin can decide what happens now. So, Rin uses the Kamikakushi key to visit Fujimoto in the past. Fujimoto doesn't recognize him, and assumes the True Cross sent him. So, he gives Rin a meal and sits down with him for a chat. Rin asks him about being a dad, and Fujimoto says it's a full-time job. Fujimoto explains the positives and shortcomings of both kids, and says he chose to make Yukio an exorcist to give him confidence, while he plans to teach Rin how to cook so he can learn to control his strength. Fujimoto explains how much he adores the kids, and it moves Rin. He gets up to leave, but before he does, he turns around and says this.
Hey, Dad. Thank you.
And Fujimoto gives the most Fujimoto answer ever.
Oh, please. It was nothing.
Did he ever figure out what was going on? We'll never know. What we do know is that Rin realizes how much his parents fought to keep him alive. There's no way he's throwing his life away. He has Yukio, and he's going to protect him. With that, Rin uses the Kamikakusha key to go to Yukio. He's bringing his brother back. What a way to end the season! And that was our recap of Blue Exorcist. Check out the video on screen while you wait for Season 6 to come out, and in the meantime, peace!